It's time for an inside look at the most powerful motorsport on the planet. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
It's the most exciting sport on earth as far as I'm concerned.
Take a walk through the Nitro pits as we go one-on-one with the stars of drag racing.
Hi, I'm Courtney Forrest.
I'm Tony Schumacher.
Hey, you're with Matt Hagan.
This is Ron Capps, Matt Hagan's personal friend. You're on WFO.
Featuring the NHRA's Alan Reinhart.
Our events are truly an experience. They're not just a spectator event. They are an experience.
So get in, sit down, and hold on with host Joe Castello as he goes WFO.
Thanks, brother. Always love being on WFO, baby. Nobody brings it to you better than you, brother.
Now crank it up. It's time to go WFO. Here's your host, Joe Castello.
What's up, NHRA fans? Welcome back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro, the podcast that gets you closer to the sport of NHRA Mello Yello drag racing. My name is Joe Castello, and the testing begins this week. That's right, cars on track, 300-mile-per-hour runs, who knows, out there at Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park. On this show this week, we have an in-studio guest, World Champion Crew Chief Todd Smith, part of the Yellow Fellas. The DHL Toyota Camry, driven by J.R. Todd, went on to win the championship. Todd is a resident of South Florida, where the WFO radio studios are. He is my neighbor. And before he headed out to the test, he came by WFO. So you're going to hear in-studio audio that happened earlier in the week. And we're going to delve into his life, his career, who he is, what he does, and the big moments from the 2018 season. What he thinks about 2019. Of course, it's the policy of the news breakers out there to break the news after I have put together some of my WFO stuff. And the big Del Worsham going to Global Electronic Technologies team with Nikki Bonafonte and Sean Langdon happened after Todd left the studio. But we're going to get into it. You're going to hear Todd Smith on the show. You're also going to hear Bobby Bennett from Competition Plus, so you know exactly where to go to watch the test. That's right. I think I just told you. Go to Competition Plus. But the bottom line is, Competition Plus is going to be streaming the test. Folks that are out there in Arizona, it is not open to the public this year. There are reasons we will discuss, but everybody is going to be able to check it out on competitionplus.com. Plus, Bobby is going to tell us about a couple of really cool things he's got going on. Also, if you follow the social media, which I am spending a little more time on the social media lately during this ramp up to the 2019 season as I am preparing and trying to get myself up to speed for the Lucas Oil Winter Nationals in 2 weeks. Aaron Stanfield posts a video of Stephen Bell's machine in the Samtec Factory Stock Showdown going 774. Are you kidding me? 774. Now, there have been some slight rules changes, a new combination, but these cars are deep in the sevens. You saw some of the Holbrook machines, Skillman, deep in the sevens now. And to me, I'm as excited about anything as much as I am the Samtec Factory Stock Showdown. To me, the Samtec Factory Stock Showdown is one of the most exciting elements of this upcoming season. I'm fired up about it. It's incredible. 774. So Aaron Stanfield, we're going to try to connect with him on the show. But this show is brought to you by some great sponsors. I want to tell you about all of them rapidly, so you know that if you love the show, the people that make it possible, like Hangstafers, metalworking lubricants, go to hangstafers.com. If you've got a shop, if you run a factory, if you want to be more efficient, go to hangstafers.com. Samtec.edu. Speaking of the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology, you can become a high-performance engine builder, CNC machinist. You can build, you can make. They can help you. Go to samtec.edu and start your education at full speed. CatSpotLitter.com and Magic Dry. Talk about jumping into the sport of NHRA drag racing. Real big, real quick, real fast. Scott Palmer out there on track. Cat Spot. Is it in the litter box? Magic Dry. Speaking of the factory and the shop, it'll dry up everything you need. The spills, not just oil. Everything. Magic Dry. Check it out at catspotlitter.com. Motorsportsguys.com. Alan Reinhart's going to be up in a few minutes. I'm going to ask him about Rob Wendland. They are posting photos and videos of an in-house chassis. Why am I talking about Terry McMillan? Because he's one of the motorsports guys. Motorsportsguys.com the next time you need Amalie Motor Oil. Better than it has to be since 1903. The 50th Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals upcoming. Next time you need some Amalie, go to motorsportsguys.com. The folks at HusseyPerformance.net on board with WFO back in 2019. Doing the head gaskets on Sean Bellemure's World Championship car, the Lucas Oil Top Alcohol Funny Car Ranks. Any bore, any size, any thickness? Check out HusseyPerformance.net. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure. This is the year. Isn't it the year? Isn't this the year that you drive a dragster? You go 130 miles per hour in the quarter mile. You go 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds. I think it is. And every week I've been counting down like how many spots are available in the Dragster Adventure right after the Gator Nationals on the brand new track surface, and it's getting fewer and fewer. Go to frankhawley.com to find out more information, and Rodak's Coffee and Grills.com. Marvin Rodak, my buddy. Gourmet Coffee. Marvin is with me practically every day and every afternoon when I, fire up that coffee maker and put a little Rodax in the espresso maker and enjoy. Hot sauces, spice rubs, everything good. Get on the horn. Go to RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. Give them a call. Tell them you heard it on WFO Radio. That's true with all of our sponsors, except for audible.com/WFO Nitro. When you type in audible.com/WFO Nitro, you don't have to tell anybody anything. You're just starting your 30-day free trial. If you're a listener and you like to listen, you like audio entertainment, well, audible.com/WFO Nitro has got it going on. All right, time to get on with the show. Joining us now, he is the voice of the NHRA. Will be out there at the test because it's very close to home. And then the Winter Nationals just a week later. Alan Reinhart is back in the States. Alan, welcome back.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, it's only, 7,200 miles from Qatar, but good to be back. And my next trip, as you said, only 100 miles away, so that'll be a whole different travel thing.
A chip shot, a putt, if you will. So how was Qatar?
I could almost walk from here.
You should not try to do
it was, yeah, probably not. Qatar was amazing. The people over there were very nice. The racing facility is spectacular. It was great to be there. It was really interesting for me to spend a lot of time with the AAP Pro Mod guys. As you know, when you're at the racetrack, your schedule gets busy and you've got things that you focus on, and you don't necessarily get to spend as much time as you'd like, maybe doing things that you aren't necessarily covering. And, having to focus on all of the Mello Yello categories and doing the alcohol show and doing that kind of stuff didn't give me a lot of time to go hang out with the Pro Mod guys. So it was a very interesting experience for me. I kind of pride myself on being up to date with the technology and the things that are happening and the stuff in the category, but it was a big, big learning experience for me, hanging out with the Pro Mod guys and some of the, I didn't know you did that, or, hey, that's interesting, or when did this start? So I feel like I'm a little bit better versed in that category now than I was then, and I'm really excited about that.
You're teasing us a little bit, and I can't help but ask, without revealing something that's secret, can you, get us, can you explain? Can you share, one thing that blew your mind that won't put you in a bad spot with them with the top secret information?
No, not at all. And, a lot of the stuff's not necessarily even top secret. It's known within the category, but the average fan in the stands probably doesn't know. And as I said, I didn't because I didn't get to spend so much time. Here's one for you. 525 cubic inches is the rule in Pro Mod for the supercharged cars as well as for the turbocharged cars. There is, however, a new engine combination out there that has a bigger bore spacing, which allows for a bigger bore, shorter stroke combination than had been allowed in the past. And Brandon Snyder has got that combination in his car. They're working on it. And one of the good things about being over there in Qatar for the test at the Qatar Racing Club is that they literally are there for about 6 weeks. And if you want to run every day, you can run every day. And the power curve is a little bit different. So they are working strenuously, making a lot of runs, trying to figure out exactly what they need to do for a torque converter, what they need to do for gear ratios, what they need to do to compensate for a little bit different power ratio. But I really didn't know. I flat didn't know that there was a different bore space Hemi out there that is legal in the pro mods and that is being run in the pro mods, and some of the guys are experimenting with it. So that was just, one little tidbit, but I thought it was interesting.
No, it is very interesting and very cool. So many categories going to be, interesting and turned upside down. That is just one example, Tricky Ricky being in a turbo car. We do remember, though, Mike Janis went out there and he won the Arabian Championship a year ago, told us last year before the Gator Nationals that he felt more prepared than ever before because of all the runs, what you just described, and then went on and won the championships in the E3 Spark Plugs Pro Modified Tour on the NHRA side of the world. So, who do you feel...
That carries.
Yes?
If that carries, keep your eye on Todd Tutterow.
Okay.
At this point, 3 races in, and that includes they'd ran a doubleheader last weekend because they'd lost the weekend before to weather. Todd Tutterow, with 3 races in, has qualified number 1 at all 3 of them, has been in a final in all 3 of them, and has won 2 of them. So as of right now, he certainly looks like the man to beat over on that side of the world. And one other interesting thing, you got a guy that's got a car this fast, and he also certainly has been making some test runs outside of just the racing arena. But they, while I was there, took his normal supercharger injector setup, set it off to the side, and put a Mike Janis blower and Mike Janis injector on it because they want to see if it's better. And, it certainly didn't slow the car down any, but that's just one of the experimental things that you can do when you've got that much time. One of the other things that I thought was very interesting, and you may know this, I don't, do you know of anybody in the Pro Modified ranks that's running a Minor Brothers combination?
No, I didn't. But that doesn't mean it's not the case.
I don't either. I don't know anybody that's running it on a regular basis, but I do know that they did have a Minor Brothers Hemi over there that they had put in one of the cars and made a couple of laps, and just looking at the possibility of, is there some potential in that combination? We certainly know what some of the alcohol funny car guys led by Chris Marshall did with the Minor Brothers combination. So a lot of things that they're taking a look at. And one of the great things about testing over there is literally over the course of 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 5 weeks, the air conditions won't ever change more than about 500 or 600 feet. So if you want to run stuff back to back, it doesn't have to necessarily be back to back within an hour. You can run something today, something tomorrow, something the next day, something the day after that, and the weather is pretty much a constant. So it's a good opportunity to do some fine tuning.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. That you could use that opportunity to test your parts and your strategy without having to correct for different conditions. And we've seen it. We'll keep our eye on Todd Tutterow. Hey, since we're on ProMod, and I don't know if this has been officially announced or just rumor, I'm going to throw it out there. ProCharger as another power adder in ProMod for 2019 NHRA E3. Is that happening, or still in discussion?
To my knowledge, it's still in discussion. I have not seen anything official about it. I hope it does come to play. There's some guys out there that are running very fast with the ProCharger combination. Obviously, that would be one more thing that they'd have to kind of, continue to level the playing field and to keep all the 4 power adders competitive and as equal as possible. But I think it'd be a big deal. There's a lot of guys out there that run ProChargers, not necessarily just in ProMod, but I think there's a lot of guys out there that run ProChargers that now would pay more attention to ProMod if there was a ProCharger car or 2 in the field.
Absolutely agree. All right. I appreciate the deep dive into ProMod and, of course, Qatar, and what a great experience. I'm happy that you got to go and take it in and see our drag racing, friends and extended family around the world. Very cool. While you were gone, like everything happened, all kinds of stuff. Courtney Force stepping away from the driver's seat, going to still be involved in many ways in the sport of NHRA drag racing, certainly her team. That is a shocker to many people. John Force Racing out today with their drivers in lineup. Austin Prock going to be in the on-deck circle. They're looking for the full-time deal, going to run some part-time stuff. But that is a big news. Also, Blake Alexander back to funny car with Tim Wilkerson as a partner, going to run 12 races. Daniel Wilkerson as the tuner. Things happening here in the good old US of A.
Yeah, it had been a little bit quiet for the last few weeks, but, with the preseason test session now being literally tomorrow, it's time. If you've got something going, if you've been holding out to get the final, I's dotted or T's crossed or details in place, you're running out of time to make an announcement. I'm expecting to hear something on Tony Schumacher very, very soon. And there was, certainly some more crew chief news and some more personnel moves that have been announced as well. It came out, I believe, this morning that Courtney her name is now going to be added to the Graham Rahal Foundation, and that she is apparently going to be much more hands-on involved with that. And, terrific foundation. It's folks that have had some success in life and in business that are giving back to the community through a foundation. And I think that's, there are a lot of race teams that do that when they get to the point that, now is the time that, we're in a position where we can do something to help others, and they want to do that. And I think that's awesome for Courtney and Graham.
Yeah, and we could go very much in depth into the impact Courtney Force has had on the sport of NHRA drag racing. I am certainly hoping that it continues, and I have no doubt it will. And I'm hoping, but I also have no doubt it will. But that having been said, the Advance Auto Parts sponsorship moving over to Brittany's Top Fuel Dragster, where she will be led by David Grubnick, which was a rumor that was circulating, but it was obviously, getting everything in place and dotting the I's and crossing the T's. And so now, as I understand it, Grubby and his guys are going to be heading up Brittany's Advanced Auto Parts Top Fuel Dragster. We have already discussed in the past that Alan Johnson and his guys are going over to Mike Salinas. And so the chips are falling into place. We're now seeing who's going to be where and what's going to be what.
Yep. And, a lot of that stuff for the industry insiders was not a surprise. Obviously, if you are a casual follower of NHRA, you don't necessarily keep up with all the rumors and gossip that are going on. But for industry insiders, most of us saw some of this coming. Another announcement that came out today, Del Worsham is going to be joining Kalitta Motorsports, or rejoining Kalitta Motorsports as co-crew chief on Sean Langdon's car. And I think that's a good move for everybody. Del and I talked about it fairly extensively last week when he was in Qatar and we had the opportunity. But, obviously it's not my news to break. So now that the official press release is out, I can tell you that Dell's looking forward to it. I can tell you that Sean Langdon is really looking forward to it, because they had a car. I think he would tell you that, when your teammate wins multiple races and wins the championship, and you go the season and not find the winner's circle, then something needs to be adjusted. And I think Del Worsham is going to be the perfect guy to come in there. He drove the DHL car to its first championship a couple of years ago. So he's got a tremendous working relationship with Jono and Todd and all the guys. And I think that's just going to be a better step to get the two cars running on the same page.
Totally agree, and this is the perfect time to remind the audience that world champion crew chief, actually two-time world champion crew chief, Todd Smith, will be in studio for an hour after the first break in the show. We're going to welcome Todd in. The fact is, before he jumped on a plane to head out to your part of the world, he stopped by the WFO radio studios, and we kind of debriefed on much of what you just discussed. We did not discuss Dell and that news because of the same deal. We got to get behind the official timing, but he did go into big moments of the year. In particular, the countdown, in particular, Las Vegas, and how that team found its stride in a moment that was pivotal and basically ended the championship with that first-round victory against Robert in Vegas, and then JR is able to go on and win the championship, and we go micro on that moment and some of the discussions behind the scenes. And so to hear that Dell is now going to be there on a regular basis, that is great news. A little bummer that we don't get to see Dell's car out there, but Dell's going to be contending for championships with Sean Langdon. How did they like Dell's funny car out there in Qatar, since we discussed that a week ago?
Oh, it was a huge hit. And, and again, I think we kind of get jaded a little bit. Those of us that live in this world and see it on an everyday basis, Dell, when he made the first run over there, after the car had literally been put on an airplane in Los Angeles and sent over and showed up in Qatar full of water. Apparently it sat on the tarmac in LA and got rained on for a few days before it was put in a plane. So they, field stripped the thing, got all the water out of everything, went through every little detail of the car, and taking it up to the starting line the first time, Dell said, point blank, he said, we're going 300 feet. I want to make sure everything's perfect. I want to make sure everything's right. And so, okay. And for those of us that, live in the world, okay, funny car's going to go 300 feet. Let's go watch. Big deal. And he hit the gas. Now, he did make the run after dark, so, we did have the nighttime flames. But he hit the gas. The car went 300 feet. It actually put a cylinder out just before that. he shut it off, and I'm kind of shrugging my shoulders going, okay, yeah, it worked. Now let's go see what we can do with it. And turn around and see everybody on the starting line just in awe because they had never, ever seen a nitro car personally before. And, and part of me is going, okay, well, wait, the show will start later, but just the reaction of people that have never seen it. And anybody that's ever taken somebody to an NHRA event for the first time, you see that when they're warming up the car, when Scott Palmer whacks the throttle, and they just go, oh, my God, I never had any idea that this is what NHRA drag racing was all about. And seeing that reaction was pretty spectacular. And then have him come back later on in the weekend. He went over 305 miles an hour, and that's a quarter-mile speed because there are no 1,000-foot speed clocks at the Qatar Racing Club. Any track that doesn't run nitro cars on a regular basis doesn't have the 1,000-foot speed. So Dell shut the car off 4.3 seconds and coasted across the finish line, still over 300 miles an hour, which definitely brought the house down over there. He is now the hashtag fastest man in Qatar.
There it is. Hashtag fastest man in Qatar, Del Worsham. I love it. This is going to be a real rapid-fire session with you, Alan, because there's just so much news. Blake Alexander, funny car, Wilkerson, go.
He now, I think, is the favorite. I think it'll be a race between he and Sean Langdon to see who is the next person to put their name on the list, having won in both Top Fuel and Funny Car. I expect both of those cars to find a winner's circle at some point this year. We're just going to wait to see who does it first.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure you've been keeping up with some of the Samtech factory stock Showdown testing numbers that have been rolling out. New superchargers here in 2019. But my goodness, Stephen Bell uncorks a 774. It's all over Facebook. Aaron Stanfield nailed the setup. I texted with Greg. He said perfect conditions, perfect track, perfect setup, and that's a 774. Everything else was in the 80s. But isn't that exactly what we need in terms of ET to make this category exactly what everybody's hoping? Bust into the sevens in a healthy fashion, but 774. My head was spinning when I saw that.
Well, this is not widely known, but the car making that run was 600 pounds light.
Oh, there you go.
That's a joke.
Oh,
Steve, don't yell. Greg Stanfield, don't come stab me with a screwdriver when I see you next time.
There's somebody at the door, Alan. There's somebody breaking in the door down here at the WFO studios.
That was, okay, well then fine. Go ahead and attack Joe. I'm good with that. That was a joke. No, that car's very fast. Bill Skillman made a really nice run, or a couple of really nice runs in his Mustang, and they've got a new car on the way as well. The new supercharger, I think, is going to step things up. The fact that Ford has got a different combination, they're going to have a couple more cubic inches, which will put them a little closer in the realm. The drag pack Dodge and the Chevrolet Copo both had out cubic inched the Mustang by almost 50, and the new combination of the Mustang now has a couple more cubic inches, so I think that it's going to step up in performance. Keep them coming. You know what? There's a lot of people that are building those cars. They've got a couple of them now in the Mountain View stable that have done some testing out here. Gainesville is going to be qualifying in Gainesville for the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown is going to rival qualifying for the E3 Spark Plugs Pro Modifieds, because you're going to look at the entry list and you're going to pick 22 cars on there that you just absolutely know are good enough to make the field, but there's only 16 spots, and I think it's going to be a fun show to watch.
Yes, so excited, and, I get excited about all of it. I love this racing, but that one got me, to my core. I love these cars. I'm so fired up about the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown season and seeing 780s and 790s clicking off, and that 774, oh my goodness. Okay, next, Mountain Motor Pro Stock. It's been announced 4 events: Houston, Charlotte 4-wide, Bristol, and Epping. We're going to see the Mountain Motor cars. Welcome to these guys officially on the NHRA Tour.
Yeah, and again, the fact that they came over, made a couple of exhibition runs with us last year, the hope was to be able to find some kind of a combination so that the Mountain Motor cars and the NHRA 500-inch cars could run heads up and they could be incorporated in. There was just no way to make that happen without somebody spending a ton of money, and the objective was to not have somebody spend a ton of money. So with the 500-inch NHRA Pro Stock cars being cut back to an 18-race season, that left the door open. And, of course, we know that there's a lot of fans that really love Pro Stock, and they're going to miss them at some of those races. So to have the Mountain Motor guys come in and be able to compete at some of those races, there will still be 6-second, 200-mile-an-hour door slammers there. So, 5-second Pro Mod, 6-second Pro Stock, and of course, we've seen what the Nitro cars are doing. Just a matter of putting together the combination so that everybody has a place to race. I love the fact that NHRA right now is embracing a number of racing organizations or racing sanctions or racing cars that never had a place to run in NHRA before. And I think that's good for everybody. I think it's good for the fans to be able to see something that they haven't been able to see at an NHRA event. I know because I've spoken to the racers, whether it's the Redemption folks, whether it's the 275 folks up in Epping, or whether it's the Mountain Motor Pro Stock cars, they are so grateful to have a chance to come be a part of an NHRA event because I always felt before like they weren't welcome. And I think it is a complete win across the board. I don't see any losers in this at all. And especially the fans are going to win because they're going to have an opportunity to see some cars that they wouldn't have gotten to see previously.
Absolutely. Totally agree. And just thinking of the rapid expansion, occasionally I run into people who say something similar to what you just mentioned or referenced, the, feeling unwelcome, something like that, or they don't run the kind of cars that I'm interested, cars or bikes. So now, we've got Top Fuel Harleys, we've got Pro Stock motorcycles, we've got Pro Modified, we've got Pro Stock, we've got Mountain Motor Pro Stock, we got Samtech Factory Stock Showdown, we got Stock Super Stock, Super Gas, Super Comp, occasionally Super Street. We have, if it's on the drag racing planet, for the most part, as long as, they run on a prepped track, we got it. Top Alcohol Funny Car, Top Fuel, Top Alcohol Dragster, a Fuel Dragster. Just so many combinations of things to see at the NHRA. Speaking of Alcohol Dragster, Lee Calloway moving up to Top Fuel for some races with the Run and Hide Ranch.
Yeah, how about that? And it looks like he's going to be partnered up with Scott Palmer. So, a guy that wants to try to do this and has, he certainly has some solid funding to be able to make this step. But it's really easy to turn a lot of money into a little money in a Top Fuel car if you don't know what you're doing. Scott Palmer has shown that he can run hard, that he can be competitive, and doesn't hurt a lot of parts, doesn't tear up a lot of stuff. And I think if you're Lee Calloway, that's a really good guy to get partnered up with. And going in with the mentality that, I'm not trying to set low ET. I'm not trying to set the track record. I want to get my feet wet, learn how to do this, and not tear up a lot of nice equipment. So I think that's a great combination. And Lee, hey, welcome to the deep end of the pool.
Yeah, absolutely love it. And coming on the heels, not that they are related, but there was an announcement that there will be more money for attempted qualifiers number 19 and 20. So building the field is something that obviously the folks at the NHRA are working very hard on to make sure people think, all right, you know what, let's do this. Let's make the investment. Let's try. And even if we can't be one of the quickest 16, we're still going to walk away with something for our effort.
Well, the expense of running these cars is pretty great. Everybody knows that. And for a lot of the smaller teams, the folks that don't have big sponsors that are trying to make this happen, I think, you look at the entry list and you go, okay, there's 16 cars there, there's 17 cars there. You know what? My chances of qualifying are basically nothing. So there's no reason whatsoever to go. And the money that has been put out there for the 17, 18, 19 qualifiers now is not going to cover the expenses of getting there, running the car, making all 4 runs and doing whatever you need to do. But I think it's at least going to cover the fuel bill. It's going to cover the hotel bill. It's going to cover some of the expenses. So now, if it's Joe and Alan's Top Fuel team, and hey, we don't have a lot of money, we got to kind of pick and choose because we don't have a huge budget, but we're trying to do this. Now, maybe we go to a couple of races realizing that if we qualify, that's now a bonus, and at least our basic expenses will be covered just to get there and make the attempt. And I think it's better for the fans to have 17 cars, 18 cars battling for 16 spots than to go in knowing you've only got 16 cars there and have some of the guys make, an early shutoff or a half-track run or whatever, and then just get ready to come back on Sunday.
Absolutely agree. I saw some, posts that I deemed slightly negative, like, yeah, well, what if there aren't 18 cars that show up? And listen, this is a positive story. Let's not find the root around and dig through it to find something that may be considered negative. There's too much of that in the sport of drag racing. I think it is a great deal. Here's one for you that I was a little surprised at. Rob Wendland posting on his Facebook page that they are proud and to announce that they have completed an in-house chassis for Terry McMillan. That one surprised me.
Yeah, I actually reached out to Rob a couple of weeks ago on just some independent business, just touching base with him on some other stuff, and he sent me a picture back of him with the welding helmet cocked up on it with a chassis on the table and said, "I'm kind of busy right now. I'll get back to you later." So, Rob is a talented guy. He's, a solid welder and fabricator. And I think that when you look at, Morgan Lucas now is making chassis, Don Schumacher's making them, John Force is making them, and any of those companies, Murph McKinney obviously, will sell you a race car that's capable of going out and doing what you want to do. But if you have an idea, or if you have a thought, or if you have something you want to try, getting one of those to make a change to what they do to the chassis, you know what? Maybe it is just easier if you have the wherewithal to do it yourself. Because now, let's say you've decided, we can change these braces, we can change an angle of this, we can change something here, we can make the car a little bit more flexible or make the car a little bit more forgiving. We think if it works, you don't have to share that with anybody else. And I think that is the thinking. Not only is it financially solid, if you can do it yourself, you're certainly going to save some money over hiring somebody else to do it for you. But if you learn something, you don't have to give it out. You don't have to give it away, and that's also a plus.
How the sport has come full circle from back in the day where everybody made their own stuff through a period where everybody bought stuff that was the best stuff. And now they want to go and try to learn their own stuff and work on their own stuff and build their own stuff again in many cases, certainly. That's interesting.
I think that is interesting, but I also think, the other side of that, the Schumachers do all their own manufacturing parts and chassis and engine components and all that kind of stuff, and they will sell technology to anybody. John Force Racing manufactures all of his parts technology. Now, they will sell chassis, but they don't sell engine pieces, parts and pieces, and that kind of stuff that they do. But you look at a Steve Torrance, or you look at Clay Millican last year, right? The cars that finished first and third in the points. And both of those teams buy everything. They buy the chassis, they buy the engine components, they buy the clutch components, they buy everything. And they have proven that you can do that and go out and not just be competitive, but win races, win championships. So if somebody has the wherewithal that they want to do their own manufacturing, that they want to do, that's wonderful. Come on in. But if somebody doesn't, if you have the financial means, but you just don't have the time or don't have the desire to open a chassis shop, to open a CNC shop, to go on, you can purchase the parts and pieces that you need, and you can buy championship caliber components. You still got to put them together and make it all happen. But there was a time, especially in pro stock, maybe not so much in Top Fuel, but there was a time that if you were buying parts, if you were not manufacturing your own stuff, then it was going to be difficult to get to the top of the mountain because the folks that had the in-house technology weren't sharing, and you just couldn't get it without doing it yourself.
There it is. All right. The Winter Nationals, it's hard to believe, but Come On Pomona is actually happening. We have the test this week, the Winter Nationals, then it'll be Arizona, and then the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals. NHRA has been releasing the identity of the legends that will compete in unfinished business over on a weekly basis. The most recent legend to be revealed, the penultimate, because there's only one more to go, is Kenny Bernstein. While you were gone, Ed McCullough, Terry Vance, Warren Johnson were all revealed. I believe Garlitz, Muldowney, and Joe Amato were some of the racers we discussed last week. There's only one more to be revealed. If you look at the silhouette on NHRA.com, you can create your best guess. They will be in identically prepared Toyota Camrys. Some people, again, the same people digging around for negativity, are like, Camrys? I am loving this promotion, Alan. The fact that Terry Vance and Warren Johnson could potentially compete against the Joe Amato and Ed McCullough, to me, that is spectacular, and this is going to be one of the highlights of the Gator Nationals.
Well, the reason for doing this was to highlight those who made the Gator Nationals what it is. And I've seen some of the negativity online as well. Some of the chat rooms and some of the boards are, well, why don't they invite this guy or why don't they invite that guy? And the reason is because this is a Gator Nationals deal. if you were very successful, made history, were a big part of the history of the Gator Nationals, that's what gets you invited back. And you want to put them all in equally prepared cars. Toyota's the official car of the National Hot Rod Association, and you're simply taking care of giving value to one of your sponsors that's already on board. You know, this all started, I'm sorry, but I'm taking a little bit of credit for this, because I think this whole thing started last year when Don Garlitz and I were doing an interview on the starting line, and he said something about it, and I said, "You want to race?" And he said, "Absolutely, I want to race." And I said, "Well, let's make this happen." And the thought at the time was, you know, Don Garlitz in stock eliminator, or maybe Don Garlitz and Don Prudhomme in identically prepared cars or something like that. And then they took the idea and went, you know, why would we make it a match race? Why wouldn't we make it an elimination field? And let's look at people who have had a strong history and have been part of the building of the Gator Nationals. And, you know, as you said, 7 of them have been revealed. The only one they haven't shown you yet is Snake. Oops, did I let that slip? But
and that's why you have to listen to WFO.
Oh, come
folks.
on. How many people didn't know that?
Yeah.
Anybody that followed NHRA last year on the National Event Trail, we were bringing legends out to every event and talking to them about their history at the Gator Nationals. What do you remember? What's your special moment? What was this? What was that? And, of course, those are the ones that are going to be racing for it. So I didn't mention any names. Nope. I just want to go on record saying I didn't mention any names.
We're talking about reptiles.
You know, there's
reptiles.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have, I'm thinking, there was a wrestler that had that nickname.
Jake the Snake Roberts. And, could be him. Who knows?
Yeah, and, I've used that to describe people that, I have had unsavory business dealings with
there it is.
Over the years.
Jake
and it also could be used in a very complimentary form, like if it was, because you had lightning quick reflexes, so there's, that one goes kind of across the board. That's one of those words that can describe almost anything.
There you go. Now, I will say this.
Did I skate out from under that, or am I in trouble?
I think you're fine. Let's just move on. Nobody listens to the NHRA folks don't listen to the show. We're good. But I want to advocate for something, and I want to see if you agree. Because this is going to be, from 8 to 4 to 2 to 1, it's an eliminations race. And the way the pairings are going to go down is yet to be announced. Folks, they will announce it, and I don't want to step on that. But I am openly advocating, no matter how they do it, if it's flipping coins or just selecting the best, they will decide that. But we got to get Garlitz and Muldowney to run, man. They got to run. What if they don't both make the final? What if they don't both advance first round? What if whatever? I got to see Garlitz and Muldowney one last time before I move on from this world. I'm advocating for that. That's all. It's not the only thing I want to see, but I want to see that.
I'd be okay with that. And, I don't know, but my initial thought is, wouldn't they have to have practice runs or qualifying runs? And, I have absolutely no inside knowledge about any of this. So if it's already been determined, I have no idea. But hypothetically speaking, if I'm the czar, I'm thinking to myself, okay, you know what? Maybe we give them all 2 hits on Saturday to set the lineup for eliminations. And we go, we build the ladder off reaction time. Okay. So everybody's got the same opportunity so let's do that. Now, we can match them up in qualifying or in practice runs any way we want. And if you think Don Garlitz and Shirley Muldowney would be side by side and looking over going, it's just a practice run, who cares? Then you don't know Don Garlitz and Shirley Muldowney.
Absolutely.
And I think the same thing goes for Snake and Bernstein, with all the battles that they had in Funny Car and then on in Top Fuel. If you put the two of them side by side, neither one of them is going to go, I don't really care if his win light comes on. So it should be fun. By the way, I think we ought to turn the win lights back on in qualifying for this, just because.
Yeah, I agree. And, some things that I don't know about, the tree, hopefully pro tree, no guard beam. I don't want to see anybody red light. Pro tree.
No, I'm reasonably sure it'll be a pro start just because every driver on that list spent their career racing on a pro tree. You wouldn't bring him back for this and put him on a full tree.
There you go. Oh, I love it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's not about whether it's a Camry or whether it's a Camaro or whether it's a stock eliminator car. It's about the easiest way to make this thing happen. This is going to be mammoth. And the Gator Nationals, from what I understand, certainly the people I'm talking to are very excited about it. Alan, great job as usual. Great to have you back in the States. Now, all right, one final moment about the test. It's not open to the public. It will be on CompetitionPlus.com. Bobby Bennett is streaming it, and we're going to have Bobby on the show later to talk about it, make sure everybody knows, where and how to get it and watch. It is my understanding that maybe not as many people are going to participate as have in the past. There's a lot of information to know. The rules, from what I understand, are pretty similar to what they have been in the past. Todd Smith going to be in studio, tell us all about his strategy. What do you think is, I don't want to say is the right strategy. There's probably multiple right strategies depending on who you are. How would you say that?
Well, as far as the test goes, it's just a matter of what you need to work out. Rob Wendland's got a brand new chassis. So he's going to be wanting to make some runs, wanting to see if that new chassis responds to the same changes or differently than the old chassis. Del Worsham is going to be kind of getting his feet wet, so to speak, with the car that he has not been hands-on with before. And you know as well as I do that they're all a little bit different. Blake Alexander, I don't know that his funny car license is still current. He may have to make a couple of hits just to upgrade his license. And then obviously they're going to want to find, hopefully some kind of a raceable combination for that. So there's, everybody's going to be working on something different. And that's what testing is all about. And, I think it's good that Bobby's going to stream it. I know that there are a lot of people here locally that were a little upset that they wouldn't be able to come out to the test session as they have in years past. But they've got some projects going on at the racetrack getting ready for the Nationals, and they didn't want to have a lot of foot traffic out there. And, with Bobby jumping in and streaming it, what that basically means is that you can go to work and be non-productive. So instead of having to take a day off, not get paid to go watch testing, you can go to work, get paid, and watch testing. And, since you're not working for me, I think that's a good thing.
Simple as that, absolutely. And Jeff Wolf now works at the track, and they sent out, like a here's why kind of thing. And they are, we've all been it. They're okay for racers, but they're not ready for guests yet. Anybody that's prepared for a big event at their house, they've got a big event coming, and they're working on things behind the scenes, construction and bulldozers and tractors, things moving around, and they're just not able to host a large group of fans just yet, which is fine by me because I'm here in Florida and wasn't going anyway. So I will see. I will see all that is going on. Alan, great job as usual. I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling the intensity building up with everybody in the drag racing community. The season is about to start. The Rolex 24 in the rearview mirror. The Super Bowl this weekend. You got to pick? Super Bowl?
Patriots.
Yeah, how could you not, right? I mean, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. How could you not? Good luck to the Rams and all. It would be
No. Rob Gronkowski.
Oh, the Gronk. There you go. Why?
University of Arizona Wildcat. There. I was rooting for him when he was in college.
The Gronk. That guy is a freak of nature, in a good way. Amazing.
Yeah, my college football team didn't give me a whole lot to root about this year, including, staging an epic come from in front to lose in the final game of the year against our arch rivals, Arizona State University, who I have been hearing it from all my Phoenix people. So if I can get a Wildcat another Super Bowl ring, I'm good with that.
There you have it. Alan, enjoy the game.
I was torn last year because Nick Foles was one of ours too. So, I had one guy on each side of the ball. But this year I'm going all for the Gronk. Got
it. Yeah, last year I was rooting for the Eagles because of Fletcher Cox. They didn't go all the way, but, we had like an active drag racer out there on the field. This year, I'm a Dolphin fan, so I'm just going to wallow in my own misery while it all goes down. Just be sad. Don't know.
We all have years like that, believe me.
Well, yeah, and some of us have decades and also centuries, which I am in the middle of a century of failure with the Miami Dolphins. But that's another story for another day. Alan, great job. Thank you so much.
All right, Joe, you take care. I'm looking forward to heading to Phoenix tomorrow.
There he goes, the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, joins us each week right here on WFO Radio. That segment alone is worth the price of admission, which is nothing, thanks to these great sponsors. And what I'm going to do today, it's going to be a little bit different in that I'm going to make sure you guys know all the sponsors a couple of times in the show, and you're going to hear a couple of breaks, but Todd Smith is going to be uninterrupted. 1 hour, came in early this week, spoke with him about the season, the championship. This guy's the original 405. Do you know that, all you Street Outlaws types? The 405, this guy is Oklahoma, and he is a two-time NHRA Funny Car World Champion. Think about that in terms of priority. Also, if you listen to the Ignition Show, Tony Stewart was on with us as he was part of Fast Expo in Miami, Florida. Jeff Lutz was there. Tony Stewart was there. Very interesting stories about the autograph lines. You got to listen to the Ignition Show to check it out. But I want you to know about motorsportsguys.com. Of course, parts, pieces, filters, K&N filters, Moly filters, all kinds of Wolf's Head lubricants, but Amalie motor oil, better than it has to be since 1903. CatSpotLitter.com and Magic Dry, Scott Palmer. Mention Lee Calloway. And the Run and Hide Ranch and all that stuff, he's going to run Top Fuel. Isn't that what we all want? And let me just editorialize for 30 seconds. I'll do it again in my time at the tail end of the show. I'm going to try to get Aaron Stanfield on with us. Is that if you are a drag racer who is already investing a ton of money in the sport, then it's time to step up and, elevate your program. And Lee Calloway's doing it. He bought a Top Fuel dragster. He's going to run some races. Palmer's going to help him. The Lagana boys are going to help him. I love it. What more can you say? What more can you say? Everyone's got to elevate. CatSpotLitter.com. Samtech.edu. Speaking of that, 774 and Samtech Factory Stock Showdown by Stephen Bell and Aaron Stanfield Racing Engines. But they're not the only ones. Everybody is running very, very quick and fast. And even, Bo Butner is now in, and Mountain View Tire is now in, and everybody's in. Big names, all in. Samtech.edu. Hangstafers, metalworking, lubricants on board with WFO Radio. If you got a shop, they can help you be more efficient. If you got a factory, they can definitely help you out. Go to Hangstafers and tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio. HusseyPerformance.net, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, and Marvin Rodak, all stepping up to support WFO Radio. You can find out more information. Go to the web, go to the website, text me. I'll put you in touch with the right people. Really, if you want to get on the Facebook and ask me a question about Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, I am happy to tell you whatever you need to know. But when we come back, it's going to be Todd Smith in studio here on WFO Radio for the hour. Sheboygan, hello.
This is WFO Radio.
Hangstafers, metalworking lubricants. The folks at Hangstafers on board with big racers like Antron Brown and Lucas Oil Series of sportsman racers in the Racing RV's Top Dragster category. And their number one goal at Hangstafers is to increase the productivity in the shop. Metalworking lubricants, coolants, all kinds of stuff. You got to go to the website and check them out. And so go to hangstafers.com to find out more information. Alan Reinhart always says, the one thing that DSR and JFR have in common is Hangstafers metalworking lubricants. We're happy to have them on board, happy to have them helping our WFO Radio listeners in their shop. Hangstafers metalworking lubricants, trying to make you a little more efficient in the shop.
Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to the blockhead and CNC programs, SAM now offers motorsport, EFI tuning, and an Associates of Applied Science degree. And SAM is a military-friendly school, approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today.
Hussey Performance Copper Head Gaskets. You got to call David directly. 724-318-8292. Hussey Performance Copper Head Gaskets for you engine builders out there. These guys are supporting WFO. Check them out. It is HusseyPerformance.net. Drag Racing Edge. That's the magazine. Subscribe online. Get the issues, $24.95. Keep up with your favorite sport, whether it be NHRA Mello Yello, Lucas Oil Series action. They cover drag radio. They cover it all. Drag Racing Edge magazine.
Subscribe to WFO Radio on iTunes. Never miss a show. And don't forget to write a review. WFO.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Welcome back to NHRA Nitro, and as promised, we have an in-studio guest, also a world champion in-studio guest, who is also my neighbor. Todd Smith is back. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. I'm glad to be here.
I'm happy that you could come the 5 minutes down the road.
Yeah, nice long drive, right?
Exactly. No, and it's very funny how This area is growing rapidly.
Yeah.
You were just gone, though. You were up in Michigan for how long?
About 3.5 weeks, so it was a long time. And then I spent most of December up there, too. So I made it home for the holidays and then back up to finish up before testing. And I just got home and was hoping for a little sunshine. But,
nope.
Hey, 60 degrees in South Florida is still better than Michigan.
You have a sweater on, though.
Yeah.
You're a Florida person.
Yeah.
Exactly. The girls with the boots and the leather, they're all, we like that. But from what I understand, not cold enough to kill the iguanas.
No, apparently not. We need freezing weather for like 5 days to do that, I guess.
Exactly. So the test is this week. Will you be going straight from here to Arizona?
Yeah, I'm out of here in the morning, headed straight to Phoenix. We're going to start making our first runs with the DHL car on Wednesday, and then we will run through Friday with all 4 cars on the Kalitta team.
All right. Well, that is cool. And I got a whole host of questions I want to ask, just, about crew chiefing, about the car, about the championship season, but also about, your life. You've been here before. We've had this conversation, but I marvel at, the guys you've worked with.
Yeah.
Like Snake, Bernstein, Darrell, Schumacher, Force, Kalitta.
Yeah.
Who else is there that, did I not mention? Like, those are the gods of NHRA drag racing.
Those are the big guys, that's for sure. And I spent time with all of them and a lot of other smaller teams, too, along the way. I worked for some local guys in Oklahoma where I grew up. And, got my start there before I got out on the tour and started working for bigger guys. I spent some time with Bobby Baldwin, Krista Baldwin's dad, in the 80s. Spent some time crew chief in his car. And the late Jimmy Nix, I spent a couple years with him. He was actually an Oklahoma guy, an old friend of my dad's, drag racing from the 60s guy. And, a whole host of others, so. I've certainly got an opportunity to work with a lot of good people.
Time out. Just pull that mic a little further away from you so your chin doesn't touch it.
Okay.
There it is. Okay. Was your area code 405 when you lived in Oklahoma?
Yep. Yeah.
So you're like original 405 guy. Like the Street Outlaws thing has become a big deal, and identifying yourself by area code is a thing now, 305.
Yeah,
People
exactly.
in Miami are 305, even though I'm old school 305 before they changed it to 954.
Yeah.
Now I'm 954, which is less cool, whatever. But the 405, there is certainly now, but obviously in the past, a racing heritage.
Yeah, absolutely. Growing up around drag racing, in the 60s and 70s when I grew up there, my dad raced, his brother raced, everyone around there drag raced, and it was a hotbed for a lot of good racers there. And so I grew up around it and got to do a lot of cool racing when I was a kid.
That is cool. Now, looking at some things that I found interesting, you've gone on to have great success. You went to a vocational college, like a hands-on thing, and we're always talking about, certainly at the NHRA, here on WFO, and I think all of us who, like doing, building, making, whatever, encourage that. Like, going to get a liberal arts education isn't always going to get you where you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. It was way more prominent at that time than it is now to get into a vocational thing, because most all of us wanted to work with our hands and learn a trade, and so I was no different. Growing up around my dad and he was a drag racer, he was also in a construction business, so you were always doing something with your hands. And so taking Votech classes in high school was just a natural. It was a way for you to get formally educated in whatever particular thing you were working on.
And it has certainly worked out. Obviously, the championship in 2012, the championship in 2018 puts you in a different area. Now, you probably don't think about it. I was having a quick conversation with someone very recently. Who it was at the moment escapes me, but they called you one of the most humble guys in the sport, one of the most humble guys that they know, because you're not going to beat on your chest, you're not going to crow, you're not going to talk about yourself. We're having you, and you coming by to help me be on WFO. You're my neighbor, but that's a great, what a resume coming in off this championship. And as you pull into the driveway, you are rocking the white Mello Yello championship hat, and it's funny that those hats, that's a signal. It's a signal. I see the hat, and I'm like, my goodness, man. You're, world champion coming into my house.
Yeah, it's well, it's an honor to wear it, and maybe you only get to wear it for a season, but or until it gets dirty. But either way, I'm proud to wear it, and it was something that going into the countdown, that's what we preach to our guys. Jono and I told them every day on Sunday mornings before the race, think about that white hat. We get the yellow one today, we want the white one at the end, and that's what it's all about.
John Oberhofer, he won the championship with Nicky and Dell a couple of years ago. As I get to know him more, and I covet the moments I get with each person because I get to learn about their personality and who they are. And he's, the Oberhofer brand is tough, right? Toughness. Yeah. But while tough, he seems like really a conscientious, deep thinker, soft guy. He told me about, I believe in building people up. If you tell someone they're a piece of crap, they're going to feel like they're a piece of crap. If you tell them that they can do it and they're great, they're going to become great. And I found that to be, first of all, true.
Yeah.
And interesting to say, this was right in the wake of the championship.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. And when you're in our line of work, and really a lot of other lines of work, when you're dealing with people on a daily basis, especially young guys learning and trying to perfect their craft, if you give them the opportunity to be better than what they are and try to be better themselves, you're just going to get a better result. And we've learned that over the years being crew chiefs, that you're only as good as your crew guys. You just have to be surrounded by with the best people you can possibly get, because those are the ones that are going to take you to the end.
And you have you had a great group. Is everybody back? Is there any turnover or change at the DHL team?
Happy to announce absolutely no turnover. So that is a harsh reality we all deal with in the off season a lot, but our guys are all stayed on board, all in the same positions, and so we had a great winter. We're just looking to get out there with the same group and go again.
And go for another one. The after party, right? It was crazy. The Margarita was out there. That was just unreal. I don't know how long you hung out, but I got to talk with Tony Souza and Tanner Meyer and those guys. Michael James is a friend.
Yeah.
And the moment that happened, they were already thinking about 2019.
Yeah.
It was almost like this is just the start of something, and that there was almost as if there was a plan in place.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, because with our guys, the way we try to lead them, Jono and I, is you're always thinking about winning today, but you're always thinking about winning next week. And so as you go in and you win these races and you succeed, you really don't have any choice but to continue moving in that direction. So we try to keep our guys motivated, thinking about that all the time, and it makes them better at their job. Ultimately, it makes us all better.
I hear that Kalitta, and I've experienced it. First of all, everybody has fun out there. We're all blessed to be doing something that we're passionate about. I don't run into too many people that, man, I hate being out here at the NHRA drag races. But part of the Kalitta brand is, while being intense competitors, also taking time to have fun and enjoy it and enjoy each other and have fun all the time. Like this is a team that prioritizes the fun that happens.
Absolutely. We all know how hard our work can be. Even though we all love it, we all enjoy it, we're happy to be doing what we're doing. Like you said, we have the intensity of competing, but I think that if you don't allow yourself and your people to cut loose a little bit and step back and try to say, hey, let's have a good time while we're doing this every day, it can end up being a little bit stale, because everyone knows the grind that we go through on an annual basis. 24 races a year plus testing, all the travel, all the time you're away from home. You're working your butt off all the time, and so you have to have those. We believe you have to have those times of release where, hey, you just kick it up, sit down with the guys, have a beer, shoot the crap, talk about something else besides racing for a little while, and enjoy it and enjoy your time while you're there.
I totally agree. I recently saw a Facebook post by you. I'm gonna ask you about that a little bit. Todd, of course, your driver J.R. Todd, great driver, and watching him evolve from, as a top fuel driver and successful to Funny Car and seeing on his face the challenge of the new experience. You know, you could maybe try, like someone might be able to try to like hide, but JR didn't try to hide it. And he said, man, this is hard and I'm struggling, but I'm getting it. And the guys are telling me I'm getting it. And I'm just going to keep the hammer down. And now to think he has become a champion. And he would probably be the first one to say that, like, I still don't have everything. You know, the drivers have been around for 30 years say that they still don't have these beasts under control. But what was it like to watch that evolution from, all right, I'm going to try this, to world champion?
Actually, it's pretty cool, you know, for John and I to get to work with him and see it from the beginning. Like, we knew JR's raw talent. You know, his raw talent is there. We had already seen it, you know, in and around all the racing he's already done. We felt like it was just a time that he needed to adapt to a new situation. And so watching him from the beginning, you know, struggle and fight it and try to get used to it, to work through all that stuff and never give up, well, it makes us damn proud of him. We're damn proud of him because he is a good driver. He has a very good natural raw talent, and it was just a matter of time before he got a feel for the race car and how it worked and how we tuned it, you know, and how he had to handle all these different situations. And we just we're just really proud of him. Like, you probably hear Jono and I say it a lot. A lot of times him and I are just trying to be as good as our driver is. And I think it's because we're all trying to perfect our craft and get better at what we're doing, you know, and not let our teammates down. And so we're damn lucky to have him as a driver.
Well, I think the sport is lucky to have him as a personality. And I have pointed out that it was, you know, maybe 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, there was a common comment that was made by many people in the sport that the drivers, and I didn't necessarily agree with this, but, you know, corporate-minded, afraid to show their personalities, afraid to be what they were. That's not the case with JR or Steve. Certainly the faces of the Nitro categories. Even, you know, Tanner Gray, he's gone, but the faces of the champions this year, Matt Smith, the faces of the champions in the 2018 season, none of them are corporate-minded types. They are who they are.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting wave of people that's coming through, you know, where these guys are just humble. They're just different. They're hard-working, you know, nose to the grindstone, enjoy what you're doing, be good as you can be at it. And I think that their personalities are just different, but I think they're really cool, you know. Like, it's really to see a lot of good guys out there that are really humble, you know, and they just want to perfect their craft and get better at it. So it's cool to see all that.
Oh, absolutely. So let me ask you, and I want to weave in some questions, obviously, about you, your life, but I also want to educate myself and the audience about the, you know, the dark art of crew chiefing. Let's face it. You know, there's a joke behind the scenes, like the starting line announcer has a really tough job to come up to you or Jono or any crew chief who's just witnessed a run, is processing all the what I thought it was going to do versus what it did, what went right, what went wrong, and now we got to like chip through that and try to extract some level of information or entertainment for everybody else out there. And so it's a mysterious thing. So let me ask you first about drivers. You talk about talent. You talk about you know, what lies within them. But, you know, like, how are drivers different? You've worked with many. Is it, like, I like to think about a golf swing and how years ago you had guys like Chichi Rodriguez and Lee Trevino, and they just figured out what to do on their own. But now with, like, video and schools and classing, everybody wants to have a swing like Tiger Woods. And they are all, like, trying to emulate Tiger Woods. And they do. And they all – are drivers still different? Are drivers – like, what is different about a driver that – a crew chief maybe has to take into consideration? Like, okay, we had this guy, but now we got this guy. You know, I won a championship with Jack Beckman. I won a championship with J.R. Todd. How are they different?
You know, a lot of how every driver is, at least in my experience, has a lot to do with their personality, you know, and kind of how they are as a person is how they usually approach their driving. You know, if they're calm, cool, level-headed guys that are trying to learn and get better, they're really open to all kinds of constructive criticism, because they're usually harder on themselves than anybody else can be, and they're willing to learn and listen and stuff. Some guys are just, this is the way I've always done it. I'm going to do it this way, and I don't really need any coaching from anybody. And those guys are still good at what they do. They're just different. So I think as a crew chief, what I've had to learn how to do over the years is try to learn how these guys are as a person, and generally that reflects in how they drive, and how they approach their driving, from everything from trying to cut the best light to studying their safety equipment, and making sure their belts are right and the right visor and all these different things that they do to get good at it. I think it comes down to who they are as a person and how they approach driving.
But you have to figure out that information. And that's a challenge, and the quicker you do it, like, helping Brittany Force get up to speed. She went on to win a championship without the early learning and process that you put in there. Who knows what would have eventually happened. Certainly she didn't unlearn everything she learned in the beginning. JR is a different situation.
Yeah.
Jack Beckman, maybe he didn't need anything, or maybe he did, coming out of Super Comp as a sportsman racer early on.
Yeah.
How do you figure that out? Do you guys go out and have beers and you pepper them with questions?
A lot of talking, a lot of communications, a lot of time at the track just trying to understand each other, which is, like any relationship, right? You're trying to get to know what makes the other person tick, and then have that ability to communicate with each other in every situation, that comes up on the track. How could I do this better? How could I do that better? How do we approach this, or this happened? A lot of it is I'm trying to explain to them how things are coming from my angle, and they're trying to explain to me how they are at their angle, and then we try to meet in the middle and go, okay, this is how this is going to work, and this is what you might see, and the driver might say, okay, I'm going to be able to do this or that, and try to help the whole situation get better.
Of course, everybody is out there, doing that, but there can be only one champion, and it worked out well. I went back to what I have been told was the unofficial start to the season, which was Norwalk. We lost Englishtown. That's where every year Kalitta would pay tribute to the life of Scott. And, Englishtown is off the schedule, so that was moved to Norwalk, and it was kind of like, that's where we start.
Yeah.
And so what were you doing before that? Obviously working on stuff, but with the countdown format, as long as you stay in the top 10, learn what you can in the first half, make a run as high as you can in the points, and then go on a championship run. That's what you guys did.
Yeah.
What did you do in the first half of the season?
Well, in the first half of the season, we came out the way I usually try to approach the beginning of any season. You have a plan in place of certain kind of parts and pieces that you want to get on the car, and get those evaluated and get them ran to determine if those things are going to be effective enough for you to take you to the end, to the countdown. And so a lot of the first part of the season is, I think a lot of crew chiefs do this, they're trying different things. They may be doing testing, preseason testing, and trying things on the weekends as well to try to get their car better. And so a lot of it is an evaluation process. And in the meantime, you're trying to win races, We started the season with a combination of things on the car, and it was okay. We obviously ran well in Vegas, the 4-wide. We won there, and then we won Houston the following week. But like a lot of things that we do, at least from my perspective, you can put something on the car, and it may take you months to realize, okay, this is going to work, and it's going to work long-term, or it's not going to work. It might work short-term or part-time in some situations, but we're all looking for something that's going to work everywhere, in every track condition and every weather condition, and be good enough to help you win. So the first part of the season, a lot of racing, a lot of evaluating, a lot of testing, and you work your way into areas where you finally get a part or piece perfected, and you go, okay, this is it. Let's get this on, and let's go test it, and let's see what we got. And then what I like to do, usually by coming out of the Western Swing, you have an idea what you're going to run for the rest of the year. All your parts and pieces are in place. All your clutch discs are in place, and you're ready to go. Then you just go hit it. You hit it hard from Brainerd on to do do the best you can.
And I have got all your results from Norwalk on. It's kind of interesting, but let's hone in on parts and pieces. We know, and we make a big deal about what this thing is. It's it's a Hemi replica, 500 cubic inches, a supercharger on it. There's a fuel system on it. So are you changing injectors? Are you changing the routing of the fuel system? Give me some examples without revealing a speed secret or an area. Something that gets constant attention for evolution.
Yeah, for evolution, probably the most critical thing any crew will tell you in a fuel car application is the clutch. It's an ever-evolving situation of, trying to change your clutch application to make it more consistent and make it where you basically can tell your car what to do, not the other way around. You can make these adjustments and you get the results out of it that you need. So clutch and clutch management, clutch system, clutch disc, everybody knows how hard it is to get the clutch disc that you want. Getting all of those in and getting those factors lined up is a huge deal. So it's a constantly evolving process. You get something, you put it in, you try it, you evaluate it. If it's good, you leave it in, you move to another part of the clutch. Work on that and try to get that going.
And we're talking the levers, the shape of the levers, the material of the levers.
Exactly.
Many different angles and aspects, the way they're, cut and shaped. I've seen someone bring, this is a new lever I'm developing, and it's made out of, unobtainium.
Yeah.
Just
exactly. No, that's it. You spend a lot of time changing radiuses, changing the weight of the lever, changing material, and again, you got to get it in. You got to run it over different situations, weather conditions, track conditions, to evaluate whether you're going to be able to adjust it. Is this particular lever adjustable? Can I put this in? Is it going to work? And is it going to work when the track's good, when it's hot? And that can evolve. Sometimes you can try something that'll lead you to another area, and so testing and running the car is always a big thing.
Keeping up with technology, we just had the Rolex 24. I don't know if you got to see any of it. I watched some of it, certainly. And, you can see with those cars, sports cars racing, which is in Formula One, which I'm interested in that. I wonder if you keep up with that. But, we see it, the shape of the car, something new. We've got a different engine with turbochargers. It seems much more obvious and visible.
Yes.
Is that quest for new technology, new tech, constantly coming through drag racing in a similar way, and we just don't see it because we've got this spec 330-mile-per-hour body that is, it maybe changes a little less because of we're keeping costs down. We have rules in place. But, seeking out new technology somehow, some way, how does that happen? How often does it happen? How important is it?
It's still obviously all very important. It doesn't unfortunately happen as much as we would all like for it to than it used to. A lot of that is the scope of what it costs to do what we do and trying to keep things from escalating and getting out of control. So the way it works now, any particular part or piece that we come up with technology-wise, whether it's something we may get from Toyota or TRD or some other team may get or come up with themselves, every bit of that has to be presented to the NHRA Tech Department. And they're the guys that are going to decide whether this is going to be allowed. And so it's a long, lengthy process for that. So it does tend to keep things a little bit more slower, more contained. And big things that are visible to people, like, say we get a new body, Forces Group gets a new Camaro, or somebody, the Ford guy's got a new body out now. That's a little bit more visible, but that's a very long, lengthy process to get all that approved. And so from a fan's perspective, they may notice that, and they may see that there's also a lot of stuff going on under the body of any one of these cars that's going on, that's trying to make them get better, trying to make them faster, trying to make them live longer. So although we don't see the big grand changes like you might see in Formula One or something like that, or talk about it, they're still there, just a little bit more lower scale.
Interesting. So Norwalk, you went to the semifinals and lost to Matt Hagan, but there it is. But you get all amped up and then lose first round 3 times in a row. Epping, Bandemere, Sonoma to Wilkerson, Caps. and Beckman ruined your day.
Yeah.
A moment like that could, slow some people down, could stop some people. Like, here we are, we're geared up, and bang, 3 in a row, first round out. What was the atmosphere like during that?
It's tough. It can be intense. It can try to drag you down. I mean, you got to try to, put on a happy face, especially for your people. Try to keep them up. But you got to keep them in the loop and keep them understanding, what's happening, why it's happening, and where we're trying to go. And those 3 particular races we were at the tail end of trying to evaluate a particular combination we had on our car. And I think if we had not have failed in those 3 races, so blatantly failed, I'm not sure that Jono and I and Nikki would not have stepped back and said, it's time to make a change. And so that's how these things go. Like I was saying about, sometimes it takes you a long time to decide whether something's going to work or not. And it may work a little bit, good enough to win, but it's not going to work all the time. And so those 3 races were kind of an eye-opening for us. And so we all sat down and had a crew chief meeting after Sonoma and put our heads together and said, we need to make a change. Here's what we're going to do. Let's change some stuff in the clutch. Let's change some stuff in the motor. Change some stuff in the chassis. And let's go try to see if it's going to do better than this. And so although it was already at the end of, pretty close to the end of the summer, we knew we had a little bit of time left to evaluate it and see if we could hit on something. And that's what we did.
The back is against the wall, though, because, anyone out there can just look at the schedule, and you can see, Seattle, you went to the second round, lost to Wilk, qualifying kind of at the bottom half at that point. Brainerd semis. And now if you're not right by Brainerd, you got problems. Brainerd is the race. And we've seen it, the records, the numbers, everything that's happening. Jimmy, a couple of years ago with the headers, maybe brought it out a little early. But if you're not right by Brainerd, you got problems. And you guys were right by Brainerd. Semifinal, lost to Tommy, qualified 8th, and it was never, all the way till the end, you never finished worse than a semi.
Yeah, when we left Seattle, we had made those changes, and we felt pretty good about what we had. The changes we made. It's like it showed some light at the end of the tunnel pretty significantly. So we went into Brainerd with some pretty good confidence, and the car actually responded well. Even though we went out in the semis, we thought, okay, this is a good move. Let's take it on to Indy test, and let's perfect it. Let's work on it for a couple of days and perfect it, and then we'll take it to the Indy race, and let's see what we got. And luckily, we learned a lot in Brainerd, and we learned even more in Indy testing. And you've probably heard JR say this before. When we left Indy testing, I think we were all really confident that we had landed on something and that it was a good raceable combination. We were just going to take it and go run it.
And, of course, Indy, the rest is history, #1 qualifier, and back-to-back Indy wins, beating Matt Hagan in the final round. And at that point, it's like, okay, here these guys are now. They're just as they wanted to. They're here right as things are very important. Back-to-back Indy winners, and the countdown begins. No major changes from that point. Just racing the track and racing the conditions?
That's it. Pretty much, when we left Indy test, this is the combination we're going to run. We're going to go run it. And so that's what we did. We just stuck with that and maintained it. And luckily, it was showing really good results. And the more runs you make, the more data you get. It just snowballed until things just keep getting better. And luckily for us, we were going a lot of rounds. So we were learning a lot. Even as we were perfecting that combination all throughout the countdown, we kept getting better because we were running good enough to win. So it's another run worth of information to keep, perfecting your combination.
A win in Reading over Wilkerson, who had been a bit of a thorn in your side leading up to it. A semi out there in St. Louis, just to Wilk again. Dallas running up to Robert Height and Jimmy Prock. And talking to your guys, they were having nightmares about Jimmy Prock. They were thinking about this guy. What were you guys thinking about? They were lying awake the night before the finals, thinking about, who are you thinking about? They were thinking about Jimmy Prock. And to me, that is so cool. We're getting ready for the Super Bowl here. I'm sure players, they're thinking about Tom Brady. Oh, my gosh, what's he going to do? That happens in our sport.
Yeah, it does. You don't have sometimes you don't have any control over. It just gets in your head. You're thinking about your opponent. And you know that at the end of the next day, in the course of 8 hours, people's lives are going to be changed. They're going to go in one direction or another. So you're looking at your opponent and trying to decide how you can keep this guy from beating you. And how you're going to win, and it gets in your head. You can't let it affect you. You still have to think about your job, but you know who's out there. You know he's there, and you know they're good, and you know they're going to run well. But you just got to go to the race and do your very best, and hopefully it comes out your way.
Now, you mentioned Nicky a little bit earlier. He has been very helpful to me over the years, and one of my favorite people out there. And I think about the big run out there in Vegas, guys, with back-to-back runners-up, and then Vegas is a pivotal race. And Sean is able to, in his rookie season in Funny Car, as a teammate to JR, as a friend of JR, able to factor in. And it to me, you guys are two cars, and your car's running well, and that car was, trapped at 401. They ran like 401, like 30 times out of 40 runs, something like that. But it was in your best interest to get that car running better.
Absolutely. And
it was getting better and better and better, and ultimately factored into the championship big time with that first round in Vegas.
Yeah, that was huge. It was the turning point for all of us. But like you said, it was all in our best interest to get that car running good and keep it running good. Not only for itself and its sponsors and its people, but for the entire Kalitta Motorsports team. And it was a constant amount of work. We had been working on it all year and trying to perfect it and trying to work on the differences between the drivers and the weight of the drivers and how to get, the combination to work well in their car as it did ours. And so that night, Saturday night, we, once the ladder came down and we knew what we were looking at the next day, we just did what we always do. Myself and Jono and Nicky and Kurt at the time, we sat down and have a meeting, look at our approach. Del Worsham was in for the weekend. Obviously a big help for Nicky and Kurt. While Jono and I were trying to focus on what we were doing, we got Del in there, got his opinion, looked at it. We set a plan in place and said, this is how this car needs to run tomorrow to change the outcome of what's going to go on here. And so put the plan in place. The guys went out. Awesome. Made a great run first round. I think it would have been hard for Robert to beat him because they put such a good run down. Consequently, he smoked the tires, and the rest is history. It lined things up. We did what we needed to do, and then we had to capitalize on it. We had to go on and win the race. So it was a huge day.
And you went on and won the race, and that was like a knockout moment, and that's why I love the countdown. I know people will fight me to the death, hopefully not to the death, but viciously about the countdown. But there is the knockout moment. Robert loses first round. You guys got to go through the field. You got real aggressive in the semis. It was pretty interesting. You got to run Beckman, and you guys ripped off like a 90 or a 92 or something. You picked up 500s from your previous run. It looked like you got real aggressive in the semis and the finals and won the race, like seized the victory.
Yeah, exactly. Those type of situations, they're the ones you work out in your mind all the time as a crew chief. Okay, this is what needs to happen. This is when we need to turn the wick up. This is when we need to go down the track. And you have all that in your head, and you know how to work it out. But there's so many factors involved in what we do that could ultimately affect the outcome that you don't have any control over. And so you don't have any choice but to move forward with your plan and hope everything works out the best. So I knew when we had to run Jack in the semis, I was like, okay, we got to step it up. We got to make these changes. John and I put a plan in place. We drug it up there, and it worked out. Makes us look really smart. We planned it that way. It's because everything worked right. The track conditions were good. The setup we put in the car was good. The guys did all the right things. JR did a great job. It worked out good. Sets the stage for the final. In the final, you have the same plan in your head. This is how I want this to go. This is how I want the car to run. It's just a matter of putting all that in and hoping that it goes right. And so, luckily for us, it did.
It's amazing to me how often, though, these cars, we spend our whole lives building up how crazy and unpredictable they are, and they go down the track. You guys get them down the track in these critical, amazing moments. They go down the track more often than not. Then the Auto Club Finals. You're on the starting line, you win the championship. And I'm thinking to myself, like, this is where the letdown moments happen, right? Like, all right, we won it. I know the car is already set. Like, your job at that point is pretty much over, and the guys have already done their job. But then to go on and win the race, that is a big statement, I think, of the character of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. When we got to Pomona, we set the guys down to give them a little pep talk about what was going on that weekend, and stay focused and keep your job, right in front of you. Don't make mistakes. All those kinds of things. The key thing that Jono and I told him was, okay, guys, look at this race like this deal. 2 trophies, 1 championship. That's how we need to look at it. Let's come in here like we do all races, and let's try to win the race. If we win the race, we're going to win the championship. So think of it that way, and don't let up until we get there. So the fact that we secured the championship after the first round was obviously an awesome moment for all of us. We were elated, but we still had a mission. We had a mission. Hey, we came in here. No one's giving any of this stuff to us. We're going to earn every bit of it. Let's go on and win this race. Let's kick everybody's butt and make it happen.
And you did, and celebrate. All right, let's change gears on a couple of things. You and your wife, Julie, who worked with and for Daryl Gwynn for many years, you recently posted the 10-year challenge video picture. At Facebook, if you're not on Facebook, you may or may not know, but everybody is posting a photograph of themselves now and a photo of themselves 10 years ago. I have not done this because why bother? I do not age. You age in reverse. What are you doing? Like, how are you doing that? You and your wife together have gone, at very worst, you are exactly the same. How is that?
Well, thank you. That's a huge compliment.
Well, just look at the photograph. It's crazy.
To me,
you must be hated by your friends.
Well, I don't know about that, but it's being in South Florida, I guess. When I came to work down here for Daryl Gwynn, I fell in love with the place, and I knew no matter where I ended up working, I was probably going to live here and figure out how to commute. And Julie and I are a good fit. We always have been. We've been together a long time now, and we enjoy the same things. Thankfully, she enjoys what I do, and we like spending time together in South Florida when we're not working, because we're very serious, focused people. Both of us are. But like I referred to with our team, you have to have those moments where you can kick back and relax and enjoy it. It's like you got to enjoy the ride, right? It's a long, hard ride, doing what we do and working and traveling all the time and doing all this stuff. Stop and enjoy it. Make sure you do that. So that's my key to my happiness, is because I know when I get on an airplane to go home, I'm going to South Florida, and there's it's a different mindset for me. It gives me a chance to just slow down, not think about my race car every single minute of the day, and chill out, go to the beach, have a couple drinks, enjoy the sunshine, enjoy being in Florida.
I thought about making Bloody Marys here today, but then it would be so much better if there was a waitress. The whole making it kind of ruins the
Absolutely.
So speaking of posts that you put on Facebook about your philosophy, like, I know you're not going to post something unless you believe it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
My mission, says Recipe for Life, my mission, show up and work hard every day, have passion for what you're doing, not just where you're going. Strive for perfection. Don't half-ass anything, which is such a drag racer thing. Like, I get in trouble. Like, why? My friends are like, it's good enough. No, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
It's not good. Exceed expectations. Be proud of your work. If you're tired when the day is over, you're doing it right. I love that one.
Yeah, that's a great one. And lucky for me, someone sent that to me, Someone was thinking about me and shared that with me, and I just thought, that's me to a T. That's what I think. That's what I feel. I try to live that way, and I just posted it out there because it's a good way. It's worked really well for me, and I think it's a good message for everybody.
The rest of it is work to your best of your abilities, but never lose sight of the importance of precious moments with your loved ones. Work your ass off. Take note how effective that is. Race your own lane. Recharge on the regular. Read books. Love, live some more, live some more. Be grateful, repeat.
Absolutely.
God.
Yeah.
That's a good life work balance right there. And
Absolutely.
I think that seems to be, some people, I hear a lot of people talk about success and they don't mention the life work balance. They don't include that. It's important.
Yeah, it is very important. You got to work hard. We're all, working class people are only going to get somewhere working hard and putting everything you have into something. But you got to have those moments to sit back and enjoy it and reflect on it with your friends and family and loved ones, to make sure that your mission is what you want it to be. Don't be all work and no play.
It makes Todd a dull boy. All right, let's focus on the Winter Nationals in that you guys are rolling out, getting ready for the test. You've got a combination that you've spent a lot of time developing, and it was a championship combination a couple of weeks ago, but it won't be 6 months from now, or it might not be. Maybe it will be. How do you know? What do you do? Are you going to go try working on the next greatest thing? Are you going to run this thing until somebody can beat you guys on a regular basis? How do you plan that?
We try to do both. That's going to be our approach. It's still working good. It's a good combination. We believe that it'll take us a long ways, but by the same token, we're in a different situation now. Before, you're racing to win, and we are racing to win, but we were racing to be number one. Now we're number one. We've got a target on our back. So you have to race the combination that you have now and keep trying to move ahead and find something else that's going to give you an edge. So.
Oh, look at that. We've got a phone call.
Woohoo.
I don't know. WFO, who's out there on the WFO line?
Another South Florida washed-up drag racer.
Who could that be?
Who could that be? Daryl Gwynn calling in. What's up, DG? How are you?
I'm all right, man. What's going on, boys?
We got Todd Smith in the studio, and I know you guys work together. He was giving you credit for his love and passion of South Florida. Todd, this is your life.
Yes, it is.
Well, hey, as long as we're off the record, it helps that he met this beautiful woman that happened to work for me.
Yep.
That fell in love with, and I'd be down here too.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
Now we are all totally on the record, though, and that is a big part of it. So Daryl's getting ready for a big thing up at the Gator Nationals. I'm super excited about the 50th Gator Nationals. He's going to have a personal anniversary there. You guys spent a lot of time working together.
Yeah, absolutely. Long time, though.
Yeah,
it was a good tenure.
Long time.
Good tenure. So I'm looking forward to the get together in Gainesville. So it's a big race.
What was it like working for Daryl Gwynn?
Not like like working for anybody else. You got to do your job and win races, or you're going to get fired.
Daryl, you were tough. You're a tough guy.
No, listen. Todd will be the first one to tell you. I remember the time. I mean, I thought a lot of Todd, obviously, to put him in that position at that time. Todd, like all of us, this just was a time in Todd's career that luck wasn't by his side and luck wasn't with us, and we went out. 9 times in the first round, Todd?
Yeah.
We had a really fast car, and we went out, 9 times in the first round, and I just was, I needed to make a change, and I knew that Todd was totally capable. We just couldn't, as a group, and Todd agreed, we just as a group couldn't continue to go on. He wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. We were running good, but again, luck wasn't falling our way, and things weren't lining up. And it just as luck would have it in drag racing. Sometimes when you move on to places, you hit and you go, and your career changes. And that's what basically happened to Todd after he left me. Not that I was kind of holding back, but part about drag racing is you learn what not to do as much as you learn what to do.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Todd will tell you that. And it's a lot of trial and error too. And that was I gave Todd the reins of that car, and that was the first time wasn't that the first time you ever had the full reins of making all the calls, Todd? Wasn't that the case?
Yeah, of a full circuit car. Yeah, that was the first time.
And what year exactly is this? Like which of the Daryl Gwynn cars are we talking about here?
02? Would that have been 02 or 03? 03 maybe?
That at the beginning of 2. Yeah,
Yes.
Is this
with
the Yankee?
Andrew.
Is this the Yankee car?
Yes, yeah. It was when Andrew Cowan took over driving, and we had a big crew change, and we picked up the pieces and went out and tried to keep going. We're trying to carry on that Yankee name.
Well,
and listen, the first time we went out, we went to Pomona, and I think one of the first runs out of the trailer, it ran 449, 330 or something like that,
Yeah.
And we were number 1 qualifier. But it just seemed to kind of, I guess for lack of better words, it kind of went downhill from there, right, Todd?
Yeah, I would agree. It was a really quick, really fast car, but we didn't have it right for race day, and that's ultimately what counts. It doesn't matter how good you can run in qualifying. You got to be able to race, and so I wasn't there yet. I didn't have it perfected, of being able to back it up so you could race on hot tracks, and it all just ended up where it ended up. So,
but with that experience, and I see some. We were just looking at one of Todd's, talking about like personal success philosophy, like how to do it. And one that I always hear all the time is like, without, you learn so much more from failure than you do from success.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, because we all know there's not a textbook written on how to run one of these things. Fuel cars are their own animal.
On any given day. Yeah, on any given day, there's not a textbook.
Yeah, so
there's some days that equalize, that make the also-rans run as good as have a good a chance of winning the race as the good cars. There's certain days like that, but yeah, there's no textbook on any given day for them damn things.
Strictly a trial and error deal. It's like anyone that's ever done this and got good at it, they probably have more failures than they do successes. The ability to finally win is just your ability to persevere and just keep trying and just keep learning and trying to get better at it.
If you could go back, Todd, and tell yourself something about something now.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be. Like do this to the superchargers, or do this to the clutch, or come up with another disc, or I don't know what it is, but it's one thing.
Yeah.
What would it be?
Well, I needed, like I was saying earlier about how important everything is in the bell housing. That's what I should have done there then, getting that bell housing and perfect that and make it better. Understand what's going on and learn how to adjust it and make it work to your favor in all these different situations.
Yep.
That is interesting. So, Daryl, 50th and Emily Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals, but you are also taking this as an opportunity to get together with, what is it, every person that ever worked with you over your career?
Well, what happened was me and my dad and mom and everybody, we went to Indy this past year, and we saw so many people that we hadn't seen in a long time. And so many people died, and so many people were in bad health. And we were just like, you know what? I just saw so many people. I spent so much time on the road up on Ohio and Indy and all those people. And all those people were there, and I got to see a lot of them. It just reminded me, how much I miss a lot of these people. And I said, let's do like a little reunion, get together with all the crew and all the sponsors. And so we're having a little private thing on Friday night after the races. And, I've invited all my former crew and sponsors, and I've got such a great reception already that I'm like, I'm getting really excited about it, because Peter Coors and all the old marketing team, all the big wigs from Coors that are retired and left, that were all my bosses, they're all coming, and Hank Steinbrenner's coming, and a lot of the crew members are coming. It'll be good for, those, we didn't realize it. Todd will say the same thing. We didn't realize it, but 20, 25 years ago was really kind of some of the best times of our lives. Now we're grown up, and we're
all responsible.
We're responsible, and we got to work, and if we don't work, we get fired, and it's just a cruel world out there now compared to what like it used to be. We used to have like so much fun that the law wouldn't allow it. You know what I mean? It's a shame those days are over. And again, we didn't even realize it, but those were the times of our lives, and we didn't even know it.
On that note, you mentioned having fun together. Todd, you're the in-studio guest. I'm going to let you go last on this.
Okay.
Daryl, do you have a story like I'm not talking about an embarrassing story, but like a fun story about running around with Todd here in South Florida, out there on the tour or something, and you're going to get a chance to go back on him, Todd. So then you get to go last. But something that would be like a fun, entertaining thing that happened. We know there's lots of hijinks and crazy stuff and good, bad, ugly things that happen when you're out there running the 24-race schedule and working on these nitro cars.
So I got to go first.
You got to go first. Yes, got to give Todd the ability to go last because depends on what you do.
In studio.
Yes,
that's right. Let's see. Well, I've known Todd for a long time because, of course, we used to race against him with the Kalittas and the other teams that he worked for back in the days, that type of thing. So, I obviously knew him and knew, traveled down the road with those guys, kind of, from time to time and ate in the same restaurants and always were kind of friends with all the Kalitta gang and that type of thing. But one particular instance doesn't stand out in my mind other than the fact that when Todd came to work for me, I didn't know much about his work ethic and his abilities. I knew that he could, I knew he could put a car together as good as anybody, and I knew he was methodical. But when he got here the first month, I said to myself, wow, I think this is when I had him and John Maddox. We had a whole, we went all out when we got the Yankee sponsor because we needed to be good right off the bat. Ken Venny was a crew chief, Mike Dunn was a driver, and the next guy in charge was Todd. And I just remember, when we were putting that whole team together, how impressed I was. So I'm not gonna rag on Todd because I'm really afraid to rag on him.
You're afraid of him going last. I understand.
No. I really don't have a, maybe I do. Okay, so maybe let's see. There was a bird in our shop.
Oh.
There was a bird in our shop one time, and we couldn't get it out. And Todd wouldn't give up getting this bird out of the shop. So Julie, who is now his wife, I sat next to for many, many, many years, and she still works for me. She's just like, she's sitting there going, "Aww." This is like, she barely knew Todd, whatever. She's like, and she was single at the time or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, that's so sweet. He's such a good guy. He's not gonna leave. He's not gonna leave until that bird, gets out of the shop or whatever." And then the rest is history. They're married now, So,
wow, that's a great one, Daryl. It's a great one. Like you were there the moment Julie fell in love with Todd over this bird, Daryl.
Over a bird, That's a true story, though, ain't it, right, Todd?
Yeah, that's a true story. The part, though, that Julie missed was how we ultimately got the bird out. She'll have to know this now. We sprayed it with brake cleaner until it became intoxicated enough that it knocked it out, and then we took it outside and revived it and got it.
You revived it, and it was healthy, and it flew away beautifully, right?
Yeah.
You witnessed it fly away?
Yeah.
Good. I feel great about that. That's great. See, that's perfect.
Julie didn't know that part, I don't think.
No, she'll know now, but that's all right.
Julie, listen, everything happens.
You got her now.
The bird flew away. That's all that matters. All right, Todd, that was a loving, fantastic story that Daryl, but you don't have to do that. You don't have to. Whatever you got. Daryl Gwynn, obviously he is our South Florida icon in the sport of drag racing. I am sad that, I know everybody's got to be in Brownsburg or Michigan. Like, you guys are kind of unique in that you have your home base in Michigan, not in Brownsburg, which I appreciate. Daryl was our home team, man. We had a Miami team. How cool was that? And so it was very exciting. What about DG?
When I got the call from him to, talk about coming to work here, it'd be like getting a call from any other big team, like Snake or Bernstein or anyone. It's like, hey, someone's calling you up. This is your shot. You better get down there and get your butt to work and figure this out. So, it was to me it was an opportunity and a challenge, but a chance to get to work with somebody really good. So I got in my truck and drove as fast as I could. I think it took me about 3 days to get here. I was on the West Coast at the time. So I got here, and the rest is history.
Yeah, moved his life down here.
Joe, remember, Todd comes from a background similar to mine. You know, his dad raced in the 70s, I think the late 60s with an altered, and, Todd grew up around the sport. So, it's hard pressed to grow up around this sport and not learn a lot. You know what I mean? You got to be pretty blind and to not have learned a lot. And you look at all the guys that are successful, that are crew chiefs in our sport. They were all just kids. The Dickie Venables and the Todd Smiths, and we were all just kids running around racetracks when we were young. You know what I mean? Yep. And now all those type of guys, whether it's Lee Beard or any of these guys, or all these crew chiefs, they're all basically were around this sport. Antonelli, I'm missing a bunch of them, but of course they all came from the sport from a very, very young age. So again, it ain't no different than any other motorsport or other sport. The people that you just don't come into this sport and without knowing the ins and outs. You just don't come in the sport and take over the sport without having tons of experience in it.
There you go. Daryl, thank you very much for calling in and getting after Todd a little bit. I just wanted to, comes in. He's obviously my neighbor. He loves South Florida. He met the missus over there at Darrell Gwynn Racing. I think it was a perfect opportunity to, do a little This Is Your Life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now he's a South Florida native, and I don't think I'll ever be able to get rid of him.
Nope. My blood thinned out and everything. So
he's got a sweater on today, Daryl. He's got a sweater on.
I know, right?
And so do I. Are you kidding? I got the skull cap on. It's freezing out there. People in the other part of the country are, annoyed by it, but it's so true. 60 degrees is bitter cold down here. Daryl, thank you so much.
Okay, guys. Todd, how long are you in town for?
I'm headed out to Phoenix in the morning, bud. I got to go hit the road.
Got it. Well, good luck out there, and we'll see you guys. Good luck to everybody.
Okay, man. Take
care. See you at the Gators, Daryl. Thank you so much.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Daryl Gwynn weighing in. How about that?
Pretty cool, man.
Did they surprise you?
Yeah.
That's good.
Pretty cool.
That's good.
Pretty cool.
I didn't know, I didn't really know that he got rid of you, though. I would never have set it up if I'd known that.
It's all part of it.
Yeah. I felt a little bad for a minute.
Nah, not at all. You know how if you're going to be successful at anything, you got to fail, and you got to fail a lot.
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
It's all part of it. As long as you can look back on it and reflect on it and understand it that way, it's all about where you're going. This is just the path I had to take. So some of the bumps in the road are harder than others. Some of them just knock the wind out of your sails. But the main thing is you just pick up and keep moving.
That's it. I love it. So I invited the Patreons to submit a question or two for you, and our great listener Bobby Graham has responded. It was short notice, but it's kind of a cool question. Not all the questions coming from me. What are your personal wheels, hot rod or basic? All right, you get to play with these nitro cars all the time. What about your personal ride?
So I'm pretty boring when it comes to that. You saw Julie's Cadillac when I pulled up in that. But
beautiful, by the way.
But my personal vehicle is the same thing that I've had since I was in high school. Not the same vehicle, but I've been a Chevy truck owner since I was 17 years old. I think I've only ever owned one or two vehicles in my life, cars. I've always had pickups. So my current state is a 2018 Chevy Silverado, extra cab. Nice pickup, but it spends most of its time in Michigan in the salt and snow.
Oh, no. That is a bummer. That is a bummer.
Yep, but I'm a pickup guy, long-time pickup guy. Before I got into drag racing and making a living at it, I raced motocross for years. And so I started when I was about 12. I gave it up when I was about 20. And I always needed a pickup to haul my bikes around.
Wow. So
I cut my teeth in a pickup, when I was learning how to drive, and I just have always been in one.
Any, the Supercross guys, I'm a car guy, not a motorcycle guy, but I appreciate it. And it's fear that keeps me away, because so many people get injured. I see guys they get mangled, and you have no limp, you look like you came out unscathed. But that's such a tough sport. on the body.
Yeah, very tough, really hard. And I've got some issues now that are affecting me later in life from some of those early years of racing motorcycles. And it's you have to be in tip-top shape, obviously, to do it, but it can be brutal on your body, especially in those days in the 70s and 80s when suspensions were not nearly as good as they are now.
Non-existent, practically.
They practically beat you to death, but it is a physically demanding sport, no doubt, and I'm glad I did it. You know, my dad got myself and my brothers into it, and luckily for me, I was the only one that wanted to race, so I picked up and started racing. I raced mostly locally, and I did it till I was about 20, and I got the drag racing bug, and so I look back at that, fond memories, look at pictures from time to time when I go back to my mom's house in Oklahoma, and I'm glad I did it. It was a lot of fun.
The driving aspect, though, okay, that means you competed, you drove, you controlled, you were the man out there battling. You know, JR told that great story at the banquet about his dad, Mario, flat track.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's like the subject of a movie. Like, you know, the dust that's going on there and showing up to the track in that era. The time was so different then.
Yeah.
And you're in the same region there. Like, that's hard scrabble stuff.
Yeah, it's really hard. You know, it's tough stuff, you know. Growing up around my dad was so much influence on myself and my brothers. My dad was a drag racer first and foremost, and a successful one. But he was an outdoor guy. He had a construction business. He liked to hunt and fish. He loved motorcycles. So myself and my brothers got exposed to all that at an early age, and being able to do all those things was just normal back then. It didn't matter how many of them there were. You just did them. You know, you raced one weekend, you went hunting and camping one weekend, you worked on a race car the next weekend. You know, as soon as you got out of school, you were doing something, staying busy. So my dad is where I got this huge work ethic from, because he never stopped. He just was going all the time doing something, you know, working and racing and enjoying his life. And so I got a lot of that from him, and those days of, you know, the 60s and 70s and 80s of motorcycle era in that part of the country and drag racing and stuff, it was pretty cool stuff. It was cool stuff to grow up around.
What about driving drag race cars? Do you have a personal best ET in mile per hour?
I wish I did. You know, I wish I did. I don't. When I got out of racing motorcycles, I wanted to build a car. And I wanted to go racing. Unfortunately, I couldn't come up with the funds to make it happen. You know, we were not a wealthy family, and I knew that whatever I was going to get, I was going to have to earn it on my own. So I started off in this mission because I had retired from motocross racing, and even my dad wanted me to get into drag racing and start driving. I just could never secure the funding to do it. But I enjoyed it so much, and I wanted to be around it so much, I found a way to make a living at it. And it just came from working on a car. Well, if I can't drive it, I'm going to get a job working on it, and at least I'll be around it. And so that's kind of where it took off. And then at some point in my 20s, I got big enough that it didn't seem practical that I was going to make it for a good driver because I was too tall and too heavy, you know. And I was like, okay, this is for little guys, 130-pound guys, you know, little jockey guys.
So true.
Yeah. So I just perfected my craft and thought, I'm just going to do this until I can be a crew chief and you know, make my living that way.
And it has worked out. Your dad, is he deceased? Is he still with us?
Yeah, Dad passed away about 20 years ago.
Oh,
this
wow.
past year, yeah.
So he didn't really get to see a lot of your great success.
No, he did not. Unfortunately, he got to miss out on that. But I had.
He knows.
He knows.
That's what I think.
Yeah. The name on my dad's car was Plain Vanilla. It was a famous car, and he won a lot of races in, and so. This year, like I did in 2012 when I won the championship, I put a little sticker on the race car, a little small sticker. I hid it under the back wing of the car, and it's just a tribute to my dad and what he taught me about drag racing. And so during the countdown, I always felt like he was with me, and this year was no different. I put that sticker on the car. I thought about my dad every time I went to the starting line, so it was pretty cool.
That is great. Todd, I thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. You know, I love the fact, I always try to push that our community is like number 3 for motorsports. You know, obviously Indy and Charlotte. Okay, guy got it. But then where else? Well, with all the different styles of racing, and drag racing is ever present, and the Darrell Gwynn part of it. You know, we had Miami Hollywood Speedway. Darrell has recently worked. We're going to get like a monument out there, a marker, an official state marker to show like this community, because of the weather, because of the roads.
Right.
Is huge with car culture and racing, and the fact that you continue to make your home here. It's, of course, the home of WFO Radio.
Absolutely.
It is a big deal. So thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. 2 final things I'm going to ask of you. Obviously, for me, my job on the starting line, the crew chiefs, man, it's hard to drill in.
Yeah.
But I want to always do better and ask the right questions and not. I don't think I ever say something stupid, but I feel like there's the perfect question that can unlock the fact that, like, all right, this guy, he's like trying to, help us educate all these people out to what you do. I called it like a black science or black art before, or maybe both.
Yeah.
And the last time you were in, I asked you, and now you have another championship under your belt. Maybe you have more insight. Help me get in there into the brain of the guy who just watched someone he knows and cares about avoid catastrophe.
Yeah.
And all the decisions he just made either were totally wrong or totally right.
Yeah.
And he's walking back to get back to the car as fast as possible to avoid me. How do I get in on that?
You got to hit them on the head with a stick or something to get their attention.
It might not go so well.
Right. Unfortunately, it's not much different than it was the last time we talked about this. There's so many things processing through a crew chief's mind up there. He's almost oblivious to the people around him other than his teammates and stuff like that. And so we're looking, thinking, talking all the way to the last second when the car's in the water box. And even sometimes, rare occasions, we make an adjustment after it comes back from the burnout. But there's so much going through your head that you have a tendency to forget what's going on outside of your team. So don't be afraid to stand in front of me. Go, hey, it's me, Joe. Remember, I want to ask you something really cool.
Yeah.
Best advice I can give you: if you got a crew chief you want to interview after a run, you watch him before the run. You'll pick up on his mannerisms and what he's doing, whether he's pacing or he's communicating with his crew or whatever. You'll see something there that'll trigger a question in your head. And then don't be afraid to just step in front of him afterward and go, hey, man, what's going through your mind right now?
There you go. Now, who are the guys that you like, you're the champ. You're a 2-time champ.
Yeah.
And people admire you. But who are the guys that you admire, that you look around? Obviously there's Tobler.
Mm-hmm.
There's Jimmy Prock. These guys are, gods.
Yeah.
But there are other guys out there, too. And I had a great conversation with Tommy D in the bar in Pomona, like crew chiefs that are great but don't get love.
Yeah.
Like we talk about the same couple guys. Crew chiefs that are great but don't get love. Like, give me some insight to your peers as best as you can.
I have tons of respect for anybody that runs one of these cars, but the really good guys, like the guys you just named, like Tobler and Prock and Dickie Venables and
Dickie, of course.
Most of these guys are my age. I've been working around them in this industry for years. I have nothing but respect for them because from working around them how good they are and how good they can be in these tough situations. I'm sure they feel the same thing about other people they work around too. So I've never been one to idolize anyone. I just get a crap load of respect for guys, and I know what they're capable of. And so I take that respect to the starting line every time I race one of them, especially these guys that got multiple championships. You just know, hey, these guys are going to be tough in the heat of battle. You better bring your A game, and don't be afraid. Don't get intimidated. You just got to go up there and do your thing. So
I love that.
Yeah. I looked up to my dad the most in drag racing. I always do and have and always will. There's a lot of good guys out there that I race with. This season's going to be no different. Everyone's going to come out swinging. So I'm just going to come up there with that number 1 on our backs and try to defend it.
Yeah. I love it. All right, I'm wondering if you would do something for us here on the WFO show. To your left, you will notice the WFO Radio Fantasy League trophy that's created by Tom Patsis of Cold Hard Art. It's for our fantasy players, and it's comprised of Nitro parts and IndyCar parts from Penske and Hendrick Motorsports parts. And at the bottom, you will see there's like a placard that is just sitting there kind of next to it. That is our champion's plaque from the last 3 years. And since you are a champion, I thought it would be cool if you would apply the plaque to the trophy. Would you do that for
Absolutely.
us? Or, there's a sticker on the back.
Yep.
You see the one spot that is open right above the ring gear there. Yeah. And Todd Smith, I'm going to pause. Wait a second. I gotta video this.
Okay.
Here we go. Here in the WFO radio studio, world champion crew chief Todd Smith is about to apply the champion's placard. Not that one. Up to the left. Up and to the left. The other way. The right. I'm sorry.
This one here.
Yes, that's correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
There you go. That's the next one in the line. He is applying the placard to the trophy for the WFO Radio Fantasy League from one champion to the next.
Cool.
Excellent work. Todd, thank you so much for coming into the WFO Radio studio. You're going out to Arizona. It should be warm there.
It should be, yeah. And it typically gets cool at night, but about 75 during the day, so nice dry climate, just opposite of South Florida, so it's really good race car weather. So.
Yeah, I still wish we had the pro winter warm up here, though.
Yeah.
Just per total greed, personal greed.
Yep, because it's close.
It's close, and our fans, it helps grow the fan base down there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, and you're going to be back in Michigan before the Winter Nationals?
No, actually, we'll wrap up testing Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, and then Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, I will be meeting my lovely bride in Cabo San Lucas for 3 days before I head on to the Winter Nationals and start the season.
Wow. Love it.
That's my celebration to myself for living through the Michigan winter.
Well, exactly, and you certainly deserve it. Todd, thank you for coming in. Thank you for joining us here on WFO Radio.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me.
It ain't just wide open, it's WFO.
You've been listening to WFO Radio for a long time now, and you hear these racers all talking about how much they spend, how much they travel, how hard they work, all to accelerate really, really quickly. Well, Frank Hawley and Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School has figured a way for you to do it at a fraction of the price, the work, the effort, the time. It is a fun experience. It's called the Dragster Adventure. Go to frankhawley.com and investigate. They travel the country. They're coming to a track near you. They put on a program. You make 3 runs, a half track, and 2 full track passes. No ride along. You drive it. You are the driver. It's called the Dragster Adventure. Go to frankhawley.com to find out more and tell them you heard it on WFO.
Hey, WFO Universe. Want something for free? Send a self-addressed stamped envelope with plenty of postage, and we'll load it up with free WFO stickers. That's right, I said free. Send your envelope, care of Castello Media /WFO stickers to P.O. Box 848353, Pembroke Pines, Florida 33084. Do it now.
Hey, this is Joe Castello, and we'll be back to the show in a second. But first, I want to tell you about CompetitionPlus.com. There's a reason CompetitionPlus.com is the leader among drag racing electronic magazines. Their trained staff is always on alert and always asking the tough questions. The end result is hard-hitting drag racing journalism with up-to-the-minute reporting. For over a decade, CompetitionPlus.com has been a pioneer as drag racing's go-to source for the latest in news, race coverage, and high-quality photography. Their trained staff thrives on getting the inside stories, and their columnists study their topics before they hit their first keystroke. When it comes to covering the races, they leave you feeling as if you've actually been to the race. CompetitionPlus.com is an honest-to-goodness, free drag racing magazine published by the most passionate of drag racing fans, who just happen to be journalists. Don't wonder what's going on in the drag racing world. Be in the know daily. Log on to CompetitionPlus.com.
WFO Radio is brought to you in part by Extreme Velocity 3 Drag Racing. Download for your mobile device. Win your way on the show. WFO.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Welcome back. We are back. We are now back. How great was Todd Smith in the studio? And this is something that I want to try to do more of in 2019. If you've been with us for a long time, you know, first of all, this is 10 years of the WFO Radio NHRA Nitro podcast. 10 years of the podcast. The show goes back to XM Sports Nation on XM Satellite Radio prior to the merger of XM and Sirius. And it is a long-running audio show. And we appreciate, Alan Reinhart's been around for a long time. Many of our listeners have been with us a long time. But the podcast in its current version is 10 years old this year, building up. We're in our 10th year, building up to our 10th anniversary in November. It'll be our 10th anniversary. We're in our 10th year, 10th anniversary. And Todd's been in a couple of times. This is his second appearance on the show. DHL, Kalitta Motorsports, the Yellow Fellas. Like those guys, they went out and they accomplished. And to have Todd in here, to be able to pepper him with questions. And I can tell you, this was before he went off to the test. Immediately as he left, right? I thought of 10 more different questions. Could have gone on forever and gone micro on everything. But I feel like it's better to, keep going in a different direction. And I wanted DG to call in, and I thought it was great. And I'm just thankful that, here in sunny South Florida, let me just say, I know a lot of you folks are really genuinely freezing, and it's a health hazard type cold. It's not joking type cold. It's not like, haha, it's snowing and it's warm here. That's not what's up. I know you know to treat it extremely seriously. When it comes to extreme cold, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I don't know how to scrape a windshield. I don't know what the protocol is. What I do know is if, in fact, the situation is dangerous, life-threatening, avoid it. So stay inside. Can you call in sick for work? I asked the folks in Brainerd a couple of years ago. It's like, do people go buy cars in January? And they're like, yeah. People go by, you take a snow machine over there, you make the deal on the car, you get the car. I was like, really? I don't think that's happening this weekend, though. I don't think that's happening right now, from what I understand. Todd, adverse to the cold. Me, adverse to the cold. Alan Reinhart, adverse to the cold. My dad, thank goodness, got out of New Jersey. But all you folks, your families and your friends and everybody's around, take care of each other, please. Take care of each other. Because it is so cold, and it is dangerous. 30 below, stuff like that. Highs of -10 in Chicago. Crazy stuff. Of course, the Super Bowl this weekend. I'll talk a little bit about all this in my time at the tail end of the show. I want to remind everybody, though, we got our great sponsors, and I've been listing the sponsors. Hussey Performance, Samtech, Hanks Defers, Hawley's, Rodax, Motorsportsguys.com, Catspot, Audible.com. Everybody that comes on board. But the best thing you can do is subscribe to the show and write us a review. Apple Podcast, or however you get your podcasts. The easiest way is to just subscribe in the podcast app, and we would love for you to write us a review for other NHRA fans to check it out. We would love for you to do that, and you may not know, but we do have a free mobile application for iOS and Android. So download those as well. The season is going to be great. We're going to have a whole lot of fun. We're working on getting Aaron Stanfield on this show to talk about that unbelievable 774 with Stephen Bell's machine. Increíble, right? Do want to make sure you guys all know, audible.com/WFO Nitro, your 30-day free trial, motorsportsguys.com. The Amalie Motor Oil, better than it has to be since 1903. CatSpotLitter.com. If you got a cat, get CatSpot. If you got a shop or a factory, get Magic Dry. Scott Palmer going to be out there. Very much looking forward to seeing Scott this year. Samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology, and the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown, going to be great. Hanks Defers, Metalworking, Lubricants, HusseyPerformance.net, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure in particular, and Rodax Coffee and Grills.com. The preseason test, the test in the West, or the Pro Winter Warm-Up, or whatever you want to call it, you cannot go, but you can watch. And because of one specific person, let's get into it. Joining us now, our great friend and media partner at CompetitionPlus.com. He is the editor and will be out there, and he is the reason we will all be able to watch the test out there at Wild Horse Pass, the Pro Winter Warm-Up. Joining us now, Bobby Bennett. Bobby, welcome back. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me, Joe. I thought you'd forgotten about me.
Get out of here. You know I would never forget about you, but I was taking a little time to myself during the winter break. But now I'm fired up and excited about what we're going to see. I'm super stoked about so many different things out there on the NHRA Mello Yello Series Tour, and you are going to be headed out there to Wild Horse Pass, just like our previous guest, Todd Smith, to bring us the test. Thank you for that. Tell us about it.
No problem. Well, we've hired Warren Evans to come in and produce our one and only live feed from the Pro Winter Warm-Up in conjunction with Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park and the Professional Racers Organization. We're definitely not getting into the live streaming business except for this weekend every year.
Well, that's
We're going to do this program, and it will be run through our Competition Plus TV property. We've been dabbling in video ever since we were 2 weeks into Competition Plus. When we launched Competition Plus, and it was right around the 1st of October, 1999, we put our first videos on Competition Plus.
Oh, wow. Well, I think it's great. This test, I keep saying, for personal and selfish reasons, it was really great when it was in West Palm Beach, Florida, because I could sleep in my own bed. And more importantly, a market that doesn't get to see nitro cars gets to see nitro cars. But that was all selfish. What was important is that the Pro Winter Warm-Up, the preseason test, has developed into a thing we have all come to expect. This is the unofficial start to the season, or it is the official start to the season minus official competition, however you want to mention it. We get to see all the people and personalities, many of the cars, and the teams that will be competing at the Lucas Oil Winter Nationals are going to be there. And you're going to bring it to us on Competition Plus TV.
Yes, and we're excited about that. It's just another evolution of our Competition Plus TV brand that we brought you original programming through our Legends to Series and Storytellers, and now our next adventure is into the live streaming world, which we will at the end of the day still have a camera crew there doing video features like we've always done, and we will have our notebook full of photography and news and notes for those that just don't care for video and like to read about stuff.
Read? Who likes to read anymore? But I'm kidding. Obviously, I'm kidding.
Man, I'm a writer and I can't stand to read.
No, you know what? Listen, it's there's a different time for different things. Sometimes you're reading, sometimes you're watching, hopefully sometimes you're listening. For instance, right now, are people, are they driving down the highway? They shouldn't be watching a screen, man. They should be listening through their dash or through their, earbud in their ear, their Bluetooth headphones, and listening to WFO podcasts. That's it. That's the whole thing, is we have to cover all the different possible spectrum of how drag racing fans and participants get their drag racing news. We here at WFO Radio have focused on the audio. I've always been a talk radio guy. And so I think it's all working out really well. You mentioned Legend the Series. What's next?
Well, I'm happy to announce that we are just putting the finishing touches on the first episode of Season 5, which not only will you get to watch the testing from Phoenix. When the testing's over, be ready for the premiere of the new season of Legends, the series, featuring the one, the only, 4-time world champion, not 3-time world champion, 4-time world champion, Shirley Muldowney.
Wow, Shirley. And I can tell you folks, all you listeners out there, that Bobby, who's ever so kind to send me a preview every once in a while, like, the rough cuts, the 5-minute long preview. My goodness, Bobby, this one could end up being your best one just because Shirley is Shirley, and also has, is very, very open and clear about how challenging it was to go what she went through.
Oh yeah, yeah, and one of the things when you talk to an absolute legend like Shirley Muldowney, and make no bones about it, she's an uppercase legend, not a lowercase, and she fought, and the stuff that came out that was off the record, stuff that was said to her over the years, when those early years, Joe, if that had been our sister or our mother or our daughter, we would have been in fisticuffs on a regular basis. I'm embarrassed to say that men acted that way.
Wow. Well,
yes.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. I know how it is and was. First of all, it's still that way. Maybe not as overt, but it's happening. It's maybe not happening as commonly, and there's a lot of evolved people, but it still happens, man. The lady racers out there, the women of the world, are still getting a lot of negative response here and there.
Yeah, and the one thing about this video, we always set as a target point for 30 to 35-minute episodes. This one's coming in at just a hair over 50 minutes.
Wow, that much great content that you
should see the stuff that we had to cut out.
Wow.
Just to make weight,
Sure.
And her accomplishments, her accolades, this award, that award, races won. You know what? We don't need to rehash all of that. What we do need to rehash is the stuff about, people didn't know that she gets lost sometimes in the super stock talk because she wasn't a Dick Landy or Ronnie Sox, but she too raced super stock back in the day. And, the stuff about, how men would spend all week talking about and denying that they ever got outrun by this girl racing down on Depot Road. Yet after she becomes a 1977 world champion, they all come out of the woodwork and say, "Oh yeah, I lost to you back in the day racing."
That's hysterical.
And oh yeah, and it's the things, and I'm going to tell you, the one chapter, and it doesn't go into the latter years of her racing career. It really kind of leaves off after the accident in Montreal. The fact that she was able to come back and race should tell you every bit how tough that lady is. I'm going to tell you, just think about having your thumb ripped off of your hand, having your foot completely twisted off of your leg. And if you look at some of the recovery pictures of her when they're trying to extricate her from the race car, you'll see that her foot is turned around backwards.
Wow. Well, I've been able to spend a little time with Shirley over the years with our NHRA, Legends program. She's come on WFO, but really though, the public stuff is different from the behind the scenes. And I know you've been there too, and in the media center and these conversations and everything. And it's just, I don't want to say it wasn't fair because life isn't fair. So we shouldn't really expect that. But it was really, unfortunately, hard. It shouldn't have been that way. And I know you started off by saying, you're embarrassed for what she had to deal with. And that is, what can we learn from that, Bobby? What can we learn? What can we say? A lot of people, they'll go out there and they'll mock, in our modern culture, like any attempt to soften. You know what I mean? Any attempt, like, oh, we can't bully people anymore. Oh, these kids, they got to be tough and just deal with being bullied at school. But really, though, right is right, wrong is wrong. And what was going on, belittling someone for trying to pursue their dreams back then, that was happening a lot. And she said, excuse me, this is BS. I'm going to bulldoze right through it. And she did.
She absolutely did. And in those early days, she says one of the things that she's most proud of is the female racer angle. But in her early days, all she wanted to be known as is a racer. Sorry, I didn't mean to to break up your men's club here, but I want to play the game too. And, you know, we always look at those. Take NFL football, for example. For every, you know, what's his name, Aaron Donald that's out there, think of the guys like Alan Page or Mean Joe Green that paved the way for them, you know, or Deacon Jones. Any of those big guys that had to play that, or quarterbacks like, you know, Roger Staubach that took all kinds of unreal hits so a Tom Brady could be out there to last till he was, you know, 42 years old. In the same token, when these girls go out there to race, they go out there to race because a lady named Shirley Muldowney paved the way and made it acceptable to have a female in the professional ranks. I'm not saying she was the first ever female drag racer, but I'm saying she was the first to pave the way in that arena.
Well,
and
Janet Guthrie and you know, other forms of racing, like they are celebrated, and they should be celebrated. But when it comes to success, Shirley was unparalleled for the time. In fact, right now I feel like, you know, she happened too early. The coverage wasn't there. You know, we've seen it with Danica Patrick. She's a multimillionaire. She's had great success. And she's, you know, people mock Danica, but Danica can drive. She just couldn't beat the best of the best during her era, but she's like the you know, the greatest female stock car driver that's ever lived ever. Shirley exceeded on every level before, like so far before society had even caught up. And so much so that even now, you know, she gets the credit in our circle, but outside our circle, I don't want to say she's unknown, but she's not as known as she should be.
Exactly. And I saw some years ago, I guess it was ESPN or some other publication. I don't know what they are, but they were talking about the great female driver of all of motorsports. And I'm thinking, you ever heard of Shirley Muldowney?
Yeah.
I mean, she's the lady who could win the race and the fight after the race.
Yes. And that's a part of it that I'm probably most interested in hearing about. You know, you hear about the on-track stuff, right? Well, out there in the public eye, on the track, in the burnout box, in the pit area, some things are going to happen. But it's in a professional setting. What about over the road, traveling from city to city, barnstorming from here to there, back at the hotels, that's where the really annoying and negative for her stuff probably took place.
Yeah, and she doesn't touch too much on the off and away from the track, but she does talk about at the track. And she, I think she said it best, and it's in the preview. She said they didn't realize it through their own ignorance. The madder they made me, the better I got.
Wow. Well, tremendous. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited about the test. Let's talk about a couple of things that are going down. You know, what's on your mind? I don't even want to direct you. We found out Courtney Forrest, speaking of, lady racers who have had success stepping away from the sport, hopefully temporarily. Many of us still hoping Ashley comes back at some point, and they certainly have the right and the ability to do so. But we're losing Courtney. We're gaining, Austin Prock, maybe part-time. That's a bit of a bummer. Grubnick as crew chief for Brittany. A lot of motion happening, a lot of things happening. The Mountain Motor Pro Stock 4 events, Samtech Factory Stock Showdown, going 774, Stephen Bell's car. There's a whole raft of things that you could choose to talk about right now. What are you going to choose to talk to me about right now? Go.
What I want to choose to talk to you about, how everybody says the 1960s, 70s, and 80s were the glory days of drag racing. I call BS. Because those were the days that we had to look at National Dragster, which came 2 and 3 weeks late after the race, to see who won, and then look on to see on what syndicated channel that it comes on your local network.
Yeah.
When we have to wait till magazines to see what cars look like, the new cars. Whereas now, we're in the internet age. You type it in, you Google it, you can have it. And we've got something on drag racing on television every single day.
Wow.
And if you don't have it on television, you have it on the internet. So tell me how we are not living in the glory days. So what if we don't have 37 pro stockers? We only need 16.
Right.
So what if we don't have 40 top fuelers? We only need 16.
Yeah, or 20. We need 20.
So,
I would like 20.
So what?
Yeah.
So what if we have these multi-car teams? Well, guess what? Those multi-car teams, I know about 7 or 8 guys or ladies that are able to race because of those multi-car teams that wouldn't be able to do it otherwise. So tell me once again how we're not living in the glory days of drag racing.
No, this is it. In fact, I had an exec from FCA on last year as we got ready for the Bandamere race, and he said that their market research department is telling them that drag racing as a sport right now is at its pinnacle, its peak. It's bigger than it's ever been in our society because of the shows, because of cable, because of the net, because of the NHRA, because of the desire for performance cars. And that's why, and this was in response to my question, like, why are you doing this, dude? Like, why now? Why 700 horsepower cars? Why 900 horsepower cars? What are you doing? Why? And he said, this is the time for drag racing. And we are going for it with drag racing. Not everybody can go run a road course. Road course guy, it takes a whole different experience to go be a road course guy than it does to be a drag race guy. And we've decided to focus on the drag race guy, says the folks at FCA. And I thought that makes a whole heck of a lot of sense.
You know what, Joe? If you could only eat a Whopper once a month because you were so broke, that would be the greatest Whopper you ever had. But if you had enough money, you could eat a Whopper every day. Yeah, it might not taste all that grand, all that spectacular, but it's still a Whopper every day.
Right.
Same thing with drag racing. When you could only see drag racing once every 2 weeks or something like that, or once every, God forbid, 6 months. We used to go all the way from like February to maybe March or April before we got to see a Diamond P Sports syndicated deal.
Yeah, I like where you're going. You're definitely bringing the heat today. I sometimes find myself yelling at these people that we're talking to, like whoever. They probably are not WFO radio listeners, though. You know what I mean? Like the most tech savvy early adopters, drag racing fans that really want to listen to this stuff and hear Bobby Bennett, whatever he's talking about. They're probably not the haters out there. The haters that you describe, and I see them out there, and I know, they're on the Facebook. They've adopted that one. But, yeah, it was better back in the day. How can they possibly, we saw coverage from down under, like drag racing in Australia. Videos go around the world in a second. If you like this stuff, there's never been a better time.
Yeah, and you can sit, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but you can sit at your desk and watch Legends of Series without having to pop it in a VCR or a reel-to-reel tape or whatever the heck other kind of contraptions we had back then, or record the show with your mama's box, cassette recorder,
What?
We get to watch the show over and over and over, free of charge. At the click of a mouse.
Yeah, no, it's great. But then, listen, there are people, and it's a shame, but the glory days are always the days when they were at the pinnacle of their life. And it will be true. It will be true for others in the future as well. And it's just sad because I think about the kids that are out there, and we have people talk about drag racing is getting older, and yes, there are fans that are getting older, but back in the golden era, there was nobody there saying our era was better because there was no other era. It was brand new stuff. Now we're a sport that's 50 years old. And so, of course, you've got people going, well, back in my day, the kids today, they don't know from it. Let them enjoy it. Let them just enjoy it. I think of the Ashley Sanfords. You got a great story about Ashley and how she's done so well down under. this is what it is. Yeah. We got, all these different categories. You had 40 pro stockers because you didn't have top sportsman, man. You didn't have pro mod. You didn't have all these choices and opportunities. There are people who choose to run stock eliminator because they love it. Back in the day, it wasn't such.
Well, guess what, Joe? You're never going to be able to buy gasoline at 50 cents a gallon. You're not going to be able to go to the movies for $3 or $1.50 for a ticket. I'm not going to be a finely chiseled 140-pound, first baseman hitting home runs at wheel. Guess what? Stuff changes.
Yeah.
Life changes. And guess what? Nothing stays the same.
Nope. That's it.
We cried and cried and cried for the next level, and we got there. In fact, we got 2 levels up. Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride. Totally.
I guarantee you there's a whole group of NASCAR racers or NASCAR fans that they're not feeling too good about their ride.
Yeah, that is definitely something. And on our Ignition show, and I want to invite everybody to check it out, I spoke with Tony Stewart on Sunday. This past Sunday, he was at Fast Expo, and kind of an interesting story. I'll let people listen and hear. But Jeff Lutz from Street Outlaws was there, drag racer, and Tony Stewart was there. And there is that whole competing autograph line story that we hear about where people talk about the drag racers and the Street Outlaws and all that stuff. And it was very interesting. I spoke with Tony about, Formula One, about stock cars. I asked him if he's ever going to drive a Top Fuel dragster. He told me everyone can go listen. It's just a 3-minute interview, about 29 minutes into the Ignition show. But this sport, 2 cars, occasionally 4, accelerating to a finish line, has never been better positioned. What do you think about the Unfinished Business Legends Tour race at the Gator Nationals? Are you excited about it?
I think it's great. I think it's you don't want to live in your past, but you don't want to forget your past. You want to proclaim your past, showcase your past with an eye on the future. And I think that's something that every smart businessman in promotion can do. Look at your past, say, look how far we've come, look where we're at. And again, for like the football players making, $22 million a year, look at those guys who made $22,000 a year that built the foundation for which you live on today.
Yeah, and we are only going to get limited opportunities to have celebrations like this with these folks. Garlitz, Dad and I were talking about, whenever it happens, and hopefully Garlitz lives to be 130 years old. But the day that we lose Big Daddy, the day that we lose these legends, we are, it's good that we're celebrating them. It's good that we're letting them know we appreciate what they did. And, it was fun for them. They loved it. But it was not easy.
Joe, that's why I'm racing so hard, working at maybe what amounts to $1.14 an hour, making these Legends videos. So, heaven forbid, somebody like my great friend Tom the Mongoose McEwen passes. We can always go back and hear in his words how great our sport is.
There it is. Bobby
was and still is.
Yeah, and we'll continue. We'll continue to get better and better. I really feel like we're in an upswing, and I know my listeners feel that way. That's why they listen. Hopefully the CompetitionPlus.com readers feel that way. I read the comment sections, and most of the time I would say they feel that way. The internet is a place where people go to puke out their negativity. I get it. But bottom line is I'm excited about the Lucas Oil Winter Nationals in 2 weeks. I'm excited to watch the test here this week. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it, and I cannot wait to watch Shirley on Legends, the series.
20 years ago when we launched CompetitionPlus.com, 20 years ago, in September of 1999, we featured Shirley Muldowney in that very first issue, the unsinkable Shirley Muldowney, and how it comes full circle with an episode of Legends 20 years later, a full video documentary.
Yeah. Well, You got me teased. I'm very excited about it. Hopefully the WFO audience will go check out competitionplus.com. Of course, a lot of great stories. Bobby also posts WFO. We get some of our listening audience through there. I appreciate that for many years, and I'm excited. Between you and I, I'll be out there on the tour, 24 races. They have retained me, which I am excited about, and we are about to begin another journey that is the 2019 NHRA season. I'm excited to see out there and be out there and watch how it all develops.
Joe, I would like for all of your great listeners to make sure they go to Competition Plus TV on YouTube and click the subscribe button. So anytime we put up content, you're given a notification when something new's up.
There it is. I love it. Excellent work. Bobby, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
There he goes, Bobby Bennett, with us here on WFO Radio, CompetitionPlus.com. Yeah, download it and subscribe, and click subscribe on CompetitionPlus.tv. Do it, the YouTube channel. And WFO Radio has a YouTube channel as well. You may not know that. And what is happening now, since he brings it up, it is true. A lot of people get their audio content on YouTube, and you can listen to any WFO Radio show on YouTube, also in our mobile app on YouTube. And so you might want to do that. Subscribe. The bottom line is you want to subscribe. Apple Podcasts, to me, is the best because this is audio entertainment. We're not putting together video entertainment, at least not yet, because there's a whole base of people that like to listen. Now, what was Bobby talking about? I wasn't listening. No, I was listening. Shirley Muldowney as a legend. I have interacted with Shirley more times than I ever would have imagined when I was watching her as a child at the Gator Nationals. And I have got a good idea of what Shirley went through because I've asked her a lot of straightforward questions. But I am super excited for Legends, the series. And Bobby is putting his heart into it. Bobby Bennett could be doing a lot of other stuff, not traveling around. He's a very sharp guy. He's a very nice person. And he's doing this to capture this part of history that we all love. And I admire that. I think it is great stuff. When we come back, it's going to be My Time, brought to you by patreon.com/WFO Radio, which is another area where you can get content, but you got to pay. Well, listen, what happens is the people that are on Patreon are supporting WFO Radio already. And so we give them some bonus content, like I sent them content that said, hey, you got a question for Todd Smith, send it. Bobby Graham. You know, he was the one who asked the question about the cars out there. Bobby Graham. There are others. But we do, pre- and post shows and all kinds of stuff on patreon.com/WFO Radio. And we plan to expand over the course of the season. Going to be a very busy year. But the sponsors like Marvin Rodak, RodaksCoffeeandGrills.com. Let me tell you, if you're anywhere near Dallas or Fort Worth, you should go to this man's shop and see how he roasts coffee and see exactly what it's all about. You will definitely end up buying something because I talk about the Rodak's hot sauces and spice rubs and all that, and it probably just bounces right off your head. He's got like a chimichurri that is from Argentina that was like a recipe from a gaucho down there. Like there's a whole story behind everything. And if you're into that, remember, this guy was on Big Bad Barbecue Battle. This guy is a celeb in the world of barbecuing as far as I'm concerned. So if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you got to go buy Rodak's, man. You might as well buy a grill, too. Keep this guy in business. FrankHawley.com, the Dragster Adventure, but also the licensing program. Spoke with Lana, emailed with her. And we're going to get Frank on before the Gator Nationals. Talk a little bit about the new surface and ask Frank more questions. Try to extract information to make us better drivers. HusseyPerformance.net, copperhead gaskets, any bore, any size, any thickness, best in the business, best copper, because they're experts in the copper field, right? Copper field, yes. Hangstafers, metalworking lubricants, and the folks at Hangstafers, I like the fact that they're on board with Zach Sackman, the Sackman family, Matt Sackman, but also JFR and DSR. They must have a good product. That's what I like to think. Like, who are you involved with? You must have a good product. Simple as that. Hangstafers. Samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Brian Massengill, the Massengill family. Look, young folks, this week is my birthday, and I'm turning 46. But I'm going to tell everybody I'm turning 36. And a lot of people say you look 36, so I don't think it's going to be a lie as much as a misdirection. But I digress. The folks at Samtech have got a program that can guide you down the road to being successful doing something you love. And that is such a challenging road. You like the idea of motorsports, auto sports, cars, building engines, machine shops, that kind of thing. Well, you need an education, and an accredited education, and maybe even a little help getting launched. And they do that. Samtech.edu. Start your education at full speed. CatSpotLitter.com. Hopefully, Scott Palmer's out there. What's up, Scott? I'm looking forward to a season. He's finished 10th the last 2 years, but I'm expecting a big breakout. In fact, I'm going to make a bold prediction right now. Right now. This is what happens on this show. Right now, Scott Palmer gets a win this year. Scott Palmer gets a win this year, and I'm going to double down on my prediction. It's going to be in the first half of the season. Bang. There you go. Magic Dry, Cat Spot Litter, keeps the man going, and also a great product. Motorsportsguys.com, Terry McMillan, Elkhart, Indiana, mail order parts, pieces, and Amalie Motor Oil. Better than it has to be since 1903. I might have to hit them up too, because I am going to be working on my own race car real soon. I did a whole lot of stuff, told the Patrons all about it. Flashed the converter. My 5500 stall converter went to 4900 RPM. And there, I think, is my problem that I've been chasing all this time. I'm super excited about my short-term plans for the car also. So why not spend my birthday changing a torque converter, right? Maybe? No? I don't know. Motorsportsguys.com. And don't forget the WFO Radio promo code at checkout to get the Vegas Win Tribute hat. Get the hat, right? And look, everybody knows that drag racing fans are the most loyal because you know the sport needs it. All these people need your business. Keep your money within our little tight circle because that way we can expand the circle and bring in more cars, more drivers, more personalities, and keep shows like this going. And audible.com/WFO Nitro. Make WFO Radio possible. All right, when we come back, it's going to be my time. I'm going to reach out and try to get a hold of Aaron Stanfield, one of the fresh young faces in the sport of drag racing. By the way, the Jordan Vandegrift show is kind of interesting to me that, you know, this guy is like a cool kid. That show went real well. People are interested in the fresh faces of NHRA drag racing. That is a big thing. You want to hear more? You stay locked to WFO. Back after this.
Ready to listen? Yes. Everybody, listen carefully.
Now you listen to me. Why do you listen? WFO, you guys are number one.
Honest. Listen.
Hey, everybody. How do you start your day? You started off with a little coffee. And do you want something cheap and vacuum-packed garbage? Do you want to pay for a retail coffee? It's like $11. Or do you want something that is good, like RoadAxeCoffeeandGrills.com? Join the Roadax Army. WFO users and listeners know all about it. Over 40 grades to choose from. This is roasted fresh per your order, not to mention hot sauce, spice rub. You got to call Marvin, get on the phone line, or go to the website, RoadaxeCoffeeandGrills.com. Check it out. That's RoadaxeCoffeeandGrills.com.
Hey, this is Scott Palmer, driver of the NHRA Cat Spot Litter Top Fuel Dragster. Do you have a cat? Go to catspotlitter.com. Order it today. All natural product made out of coconuts, 100% biodegradable. All you NHRA fan, cat owners, support our team. Go to catspotlitter.com.
Android and iPhone users, download the WFO Radio app. It's sports radio for racing fans.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The ultimate racing show, including WFO Radio NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio Ignition, the WFO Radio NASCAR Tailgate Party, news, videos, push notifications, and more.
I just hope I'm part of it.
Go to the App Store or Android Market. Search WFO Radio and download it now.
Hey, racers and race fans, I want to tell you about the Motorsports Guys. Terry McMillan from Elkhart, Indiana, has got a new venture, and we want you to hit the website at motorsportsguys.com. It's going to be a one-stop shop. They're going to have it all, but most importantly, oil, Amalie, better than it has to be since 1903, available at motorsportsguys.com. Check it out. Bookmark it, motorsportsguys.com. Terry McMillan stepping up as a supporter of WFO Radio. Check him out, motorsportsguys.com.
This is Jeff Rice, a.k.a. Deep and Hot. I just want to let you know that NHRA Nitro is probably the best coverage of NHRA drag racing, period. How can you not like a 3.5-hour broadcast with all the winners specifically for drag racing? WFO rules the airwaves.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Final segment, NHRA Nitro podcast, WFO Radio. And, we're sounding a little different this week, but doing some microphone changing around here in the studio. We had a failure, but we are up and running. We have redundancy in our systems, and maybe not redundancy, but we have backups. So everything is good, and we're going, and we're growing, and doing our thing. Hey, I want to just tell everybody, we are working on getting Aaron Stanfield on the show, just seconds away. It's looking good. And I've been just so excited about the start of the season. A little nervous, like a little just anxiety, not anxiety, but anxious. Like can't wait to get going. Did you know that next weekend is the Lucas Oil Winter Nationals? And you should definitely be planning on going. But if you're an East Coaster, I got some inside news. I'm going to keep it. You need to. If you're planning on going to the Gator Nationals, you might not want to wait to get your tickets. That's what I'm saying to you. And I'm super excited about Unfinished Business, and I'm going to talk about all that stuff. But right now, I want everybody to know that Samtech Factory Stock Showdown is one of the most exciting things I think that has happened to our sport, because these are the real cars, the factory cars in their factory shape, and they look identical for the most part to what you're going to see. And the big 774 out of the testing with Aaron Stanfield and the Camaro of Stephen Bell, we got to try to get him on the phone. Let's do it right now here on WFO.
Hello?
Aaron, Joe Castello, WFO Radio. How are you?
Good. How are you, Mr. Joe?
We are great. Now, you are on the air. We are on the air. I'm finishing up the show right now, and I wanted to talk with you because your Facebook post blew my mind. 774 in a full-body 9-inch wide tire with glass windows, roll up and down interior dashboard. That is mega. Tell me about that run.
Well, Joe, it was it's what we would call a perfect run. Perfect weather, perfect racetrack, perfect driving, perfect tune, perfect setup. I mean, that really that kind of came out of nowhere, honestly, because leading up to that point, we kind of struggled a little bit, trying to find our groove and how this new engine combination wanted to be run down the racetrack, and we just kind of popped that out there, but. It was a good run. I don't know if we could go up there and do it again, but it was good for that one run.
Well, this year there are some rules changes, and I want to delve into a couple of things. Like, first of all, the excitement level for this category. Did you realize, I know you and your dad, Greg, got involved in it, and you're doing very well at it, and you got a whole host of cars that run your power that are running very well. But when you dove in, did you realize that this was going to happen? I know you were hoping it did, but that people are sharing these videos and going crazy over testing.
Absolutely not. I remember a couple of years ago in Gainesville, I drove one of Stephen Bell's cars, and I qualified number 3 with like an 844 or something like that. And we're running well off into the 7s now, so it's unreal what these cars do, and everybody's working really hard. The Dodges are fast. Kevin Skinner made a really good run. If you look at his increments, he was going to make a run just as fast as we did. And I like the parity, and I like it's where it's going to be a tuning race and a driver's race at the end of the day, where everybody has a chance to win. All 3 manufacturers.
You see, to hear you say that now makes me feel great about it, because you could have easily said, based on the performance of Leah and Kevin Helms last year, that those Dodges were so tough down the back half of the racetrack, you guys had to get everything in the first 60 feet to even hang tough. So here we are at the start of 2019, and you're telling me you feel good about it.
I feel good about it. We're going to have a lot of fun. I know there's a lot of new people coming into the class, and a lot of big names, and I think it's gonna going to bring some more attention, and hopefully it continues to grow and doesn't get out of control as far as one manufacturer running away with it. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun, Mr. Joe.
Oh, I love it too. I know you're going to be running some other stuff. I'll ask you about that in a second. I promised I'd keep this one quick. Are you out there at the track?
We're actually back at the shop. We're actually back at the shop, and we're pulling motors out of race cars.
All right. The new superchargers. I know that a new supercharger combination has been allowed, and that is the result or the reason we're seeing this increased performance. Can you explain, to the layman, myself and my listeners, why are these superchargers so much better and more powerful? Is it just that they're bigger?
No, they're actually technically a smaller blower than the Whipples are, but I would just say they're probably more efficient. They don't put off as much heat, so that would that's going to let us be able to make a little bit more horsepower as far as manifold air temperature, and they're just bad to the bone.
Yeah, well, 774. I went crazy when I saw that. I thought that was unbelievable. All right, what about you? You're known to run Top Dragster. You're known to run Samtech Factory Stock Showdown. What is your personal driving schedule? I know what you're going to be doing as a tuner, but what about Aaron Stanfield, the driver? What's he doing?
At the shootout races, I'm gonna try to focus as much as I can, doing my part and helping tune these cars and everything that goes along with that. I might not race as much with my cars at the shootout races, but I plan on running a full schedule in Super Stock and Top Dragster and competing for my ultimate goal that I've always had, and that's to win a world championship.
That is great.
That is my plan.
Well, I think it is fantastic, Aaron. And watching you come up, and you've already got pro stock round wins under your belt, etc. But to me, this is your thing. Like, you are in the right place at the right time with Samtech Factory Stock Showdown. And honestly, to watch the Fords put up the numbers that they have, Holbrook, etc., in the tests, I started to get worried. Like, what's going to happen? Are these guys going to roll over the category with their new combination? Are the Dodges going to roll over the category? And when you bust out that 774, I think the Chevy guys got something to cheer for.
I think they got excited, but for sure, definitely both manufacturers had Ford and Chevy had perfect racetracks, perfect weather, and I feel like we ran pretty even, to be honest with you. So I'm excited to see how it's all going to work out.
There you go. Aaron, thank you for making the time for us here on WFO Radio, coming on like extremely short notice. But to me, this is big news. I think about throughout history, like big testing numbers, and we're in a world where we just talked with Bobby Bennett, instant gratification. Car goes down the track, you post it to your Facebook page, I see it like 3 minutes after you post it, and now you're on the show. Like, that's pretty awesome.
That's perfect. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it. Good luck. Say hi to your dad.
Yes, sir. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Aaron. Aaron Stanfield with us here on WFO Radio, and I think it is just so cool that, first of all, I'm a fan of the Stanfield family. One of the great moments in WFO Radio podcast history was sitting in the media center after Greg Stanfield had just won the Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals with Kenny Koretsky, the captain, and just feeling that moment. What? Like, it was just amazing. Greg was one of the first people to put a WFO Radio sticker on his car and had it for a while. Honestly, Kurt Johnson, way back in the day, had a Power Shift sticker on his car. And Vincent Nobile put a WFOradio.com sticker on his car. And Greg Stanfield put stickers. I don't ask people to put stickers on their cars. Will you run my sticker? I won't do that. They ask. Dan Pomponio put a sticker on his car, and others have put stickers on the car now, which is amazing to me. The Emmons, and just I can't even list everybody who have a WFO Radio sticker on his car. The Greek has got a WFO Radio sticker on the nose of his car. I didn't orchestrate that one. I got to give credit to Bobby Graham and Marvin Rodak on that one, because they like being a little more pushy than I am. But it was pretty amazing and pretty cool. And I'm just excited for the season and to see everybody and the way it's all going. And I really want, there have been a thread or two through this particular show addressing the couple of negative people out there. And I really don't imagine that those people listen to the show because they probably can't handle it. I've been accused of being Winnie the Pooh, like overly positive or averse to negativity, or I don't know. But I definitely have a positive attitude. It was my dad who gave it to me, spending time in the United States Marine Corps. And he always would tell me that when you're in a foxhole, nobody likes a complainer because everything is terrible already. And so the only thing that can make a terrible situation like being in a foxhole worse is having someone complain about it because you can't do anything about it. And don't get me wrong, I complain. There are times and bits of negativity, things that happen from time to time. But when I look at our sport and I see people like Bobby Bennett and I see people like John DeBartolomeo, Drag Racing Edge magazine, working their tails off. I see young racers and older racers, guys like Aaron Stanfield. What's he doing? He's building his life in and around the sport of NHRA drag racing. Yeah, sure, they got customers outside of the sanction. But drag racing, to me, why would you choose to be negative? On balance, is there more positive or is there more negative? The answer is overwhelmingly positive. So what I always like to do is, to challenge the negative thinkers. I see them on our Facebook page. Guys, you'll post a comment like, hey, look at this kitten. And they'll be like, I bet you that kitten is going to get run over. There's people who are just infected by the negativity. And maybe they're nice people and they can't help it. It's just where their mind goes. Let's fight that this year. Let's fight it. Let's get out there and have a good time and focus on the positive and being in this world together and experiencing the fun of this hobby that we like, the cars. And I've addressed many different things. Tony Stewart, Fast Expo. It's a mini PRI that happens in Miami in January. And this year they had Jeff Lutz, who's a drag racer, chassis builder, working on a car for Clay. And I didn't really get to speak with him because he was overwhelmed. Tony Stewart, 3-time Cup champion, one of the greatest racers of all time. I spoke with Tony on our Ignition show, and I asked him directly, all right, man, you've been saying you're going to run a Top Fuel dragster now for years. Oh, I'm going to do it. And he answers me, is Tony Stewart going to run a Top Fuel dragster at any point just to make a 300-mile-per-hour run? What did he say? Go listen. That's how I get you guys to listen to the Ignition show for one time. But the people who are in the sport, who love the sport, are so passionate about it. Why would anybody bring any negativity to the table? Why would you? Certainly things could be done better. There are definitely good moments and bad moments, positive moments, negative moments. But to constantly watch and yet be down on it, I don't know. I don't get it. Now, there are some things that have happened that are negative if you choose to think of it that way, like, Courtney Force. You might be wondering, when did you guys comment on the Courtney Force situation? We talked about it on Patreon with one of our Patreon shows. Talked about it on the Ignition show a little bit. But I'm going to go in depth right now. During my time, I have seen Courtney's evolution and watched her, I don't like to say grow up because I don't view people like that, from a kid to an adult. She was an adult when I met her, but she's gotten so much better at everything. It's a real blow to lose her energy and enthusiasm. This is someone that I believe adds a huge element to the sport of drag racing in general. Number one, she's a legacy. Number two, her dad is passionate about watching her race. And to know that she's stepping out of the seat, it subtracts. But why is she stepping out of the seat? Did she lose her passion for drag racing? The answer is absolutely not. This is part of life. She's going to go and she's going to do things. She's going to focus on, personal life, make choices that are hers to make. And maybe someday she will come back. Certainly everyone has that choice. I actually think that it may be good for the family business, for Courtney, who has such intense passion to drive, to sit aside and work and see and think about, how all this happens and what's happening. I love the fact that the Advanced Auto Parts sponsorship has gone over to Brittany, and now, Brittany. Who would have thunk it? Of the Force daughters, she was the last in and the least interested, according to her teenage years that we got to see on the Driving Force show, which I have heard is inaccurate. That Brittany always had an interest, just never visualized it happening. And then it can happen, and then she went with it and became a champion. But I'm going to miss Courtney. I think Courtney is one of the great personalities out there. And honestly, thought she was really just now coming into her own, getting into a situation where she wanted to push back on anybody that challenged her. I'm not that I'm the one to be proud, but I'm proud she represented drag racing for the time that she did. And I hope she comes back. And I hope she can be involved in many ways. And, what can you say? I hope to get her on a WFO for a debrief and find out exactly what goes on. But John Force Racing has announced their driver and crew chief lineup. Grubnick going over for Brittany is, the worst kept secret in drag racing. But it also shows you John Force's ability to make things happen. And people think, John Force, he just snaps his fingers and makes it happen. It's not that way. John Force is a truck driver who did well with drag racing, and that's his product. He's got to go out there and they got to win races. So he's got to make it happen. It's not like he's, captain of industry like others, like Roger Penske, billionaire, Penske Trucking, among a million other things. Don Schumacher is a business person. Connie Kalitta, you don't even need to say any more about exactly what it is. I would like to see Austin Prock on the track as often as possible. The kid, to me, has got the goods and star power, enthusiasm, kind of like the Jordan Vandegrift thing. New, fresh, young faces with enthusiasm that we're going to like. Guys to go out there and battle it out with Steve Torrance and J.R. Todd and take the sport to the next destination, wherever it is. I'm excited about that. Pro Stock, my goodness, man. I'm fired up about it. Regular Pro Stock, but think about it. Regular Pro Stock, I just called it that. 500 cubic inch Pro Stock. I'm excited about it. 12 races to make the countdown now. That is the real difference. NHRA.com has got a great story about, K-Mac, that guy K-Mac, talking about you better get after it right from the outset. 12 races is not that many races to get after it. Also see, look at this, big breaking news right here at the end. Ha! I've beaten you, Jake Sundstrom. That's right, you thought you could get the breaking news in after WFO was over. No, I'm kidding. Love Jake. Ford Performance unveils new Mustang body. Bob Tasca III and Tim Wilkerson will both utilize the 2019 Ford Mustang funny car body while chasing championships in the ultra-competitive Nitro category. And here it is, the new body. I think it's way better. It's very simple. Not a lot of extra lines. Go to NHRA.com. I'm going to share it right now. And if you follow WFO Radio, you will see later on. But that is a very cool deal. You can see they've smoothed it out in many areas from the previous edition, this particular version. So very exciting, very exciting. The Gator Nationals, everybody's buzzing about it. Everybody's talking about it. Everyone that I encounter, Fast Expo, all that stuff. Samtech Factory Stock Showdown, E3 Spark Plugs. So much going on. This unfinished business deal. Everyone is talking about it. Everybody that I am talking about. Yes, there's two people that are like, why are they in Toyota Camrys? The answer is because Toyota is the official car of the NHRA, and we want them to be able to showcase their personalities and wave to the crowd, and that's it. We're not worried about them going out and, like trying to tune it up, although I think some people should. I will tell you, whoever practices the most is probably going to be the winner. And I want to make a plea to everybody. Garlitz and Muldowney have to run. Garlitz and Muldowney have to run. Okay? If it's a single elimination tournament and Shirley runs Don Prudhomme and the Snake beats Shirley, then we never get to see Garlitz and Muldowney ever again. This is it. So we got to see Garlitz and Muldowney, people. I'm making a plea to you. However they decide to create the matchups, whatever the deal is, if it's NHRA listening or if it's the listeners listening or whoever or however, whatever it is, the opinion of Joe Castello is that Garlitz and Muldowney have to run first round. That's it. So that we guarantee the matchup. Of course, it would be great if they both made the final. And wouldn't it be great if they both made the final? Wouldn't it be great if Brittany Force and Leah Pritchett both made the final? Yeah, it doesn't happen all the time. It's extremely rare. It would be great, but it's extremely rare. Here we are. We're orchestrating a race of legends. Let's make sure we see the matchup that Joe Castello wants to see. And Joe Castello wants to see Garlitz and Muldowney one last time, man. I want to be talking about that in 2019. Come on. So, how will that all get figured out? Well, you'll find out soon enough. Soon enough. Anyway, that is going to do it. I appreciate all you folks. Please listen to the Ignition Show and check us out on Patreon for some of that additional content. Thanks to Todd Smith for coming in, Julie Smith for, just being a friend. Sorry about that bird, man. Thank God it flew away, right? They flew away. It's fine. That was almost ingenious, in fact, in a weird way. That's great. And Daryl Gwynn for calling in, which I thought was a whole lot of fun. We try to have as much fun as possible, like nonstop fun all the time. And I feel like we're doing it, but also respect all the listeners out there and the work that you guys do. Going to and fro and driving and over the road and all that stuff. Big thanks to Alan Reinhart for coming on, keeping us informed all the way from Qatar. Thanks to our great sponsors like Marvin Rodak, Frank Hawley, David Allen, his dad, HusseyPerformance.net, Hankster's Metalworking Lubricants, Mike, Bill of Sam Tech, Brian Massengill, Linda Massengill, the Massengill family, for just supporting this unbelievable category. And everybody's so excited. CatspotLitter.com, Magic Dry, Motorsports guys, Terry McMillan and Jim and everybody over there. These people directly support WFO Radio. They get what we're doing. Audible.com/WFO Nitro. Thank you, folks. If you're listening in the WFO Radio app, don't go anywhere. The next show will just play, and you'll be able to hear even more on WFO Radio.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO Radio.